self so blood cancer patients can reach theirs. Change your life by joining a marathon, half marathon, triathlon, or a cycle event, and you'll change the lives of blood cancer patients.
I am committed. I am TNT.
After 600,000 participants and almost $1 billion raised for treatments, TNT has helped the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society make a significant impact in the advancement of blood cancer therapies that save lives every day.
I am making a difference. I am TNT.
Join TNT. Expand your circle of friends to be part of a very special community. Train with world-class trainers and have the chance to be part of the most exciting endurance sports events in the country. Or train on your own schedule with TNT Flex. Join TNT and fundraise while you train and take part in getting us all closer to a world without blood cancers.
Join TNT now. Go to teamintraining.org.
Business owners, Grant Napier's back, bringing Fox Sports Radio to the forefront of sports talk in Sacramento. That means more listeners, more potential customers who could be spending money for your products and services. This is Kurt Bagelman, General Manager for Fox Sports Radio in Sacramento. Grant's back, and his return is an opportunity for your business. Listen, the sports talk audience is a target-rich group of consumers. 80% are employed, nearly 60% earn six-figure incomes, 67% own their homes. Take advantage of the attention Grant's return has generated to tell people where to spend their money. This is a unique opportunity to increase your sales right now. It costs nothing to learn how a good strategy and a great commercial message heard by sports fans could help your business. So call me, 916-779-0914. 779-0914. Radio and Grant get results, and we are here to help. Call 779-0914.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. Who says Mondays have to be boring? At Bennett's, Mondays are made for wine and dine. For just $65, enjoy 2 full entrees, 2 salads, and a bottle of wine. Perfect for date night or dinner with a friend. That's a complete dinner for 2 with wine. Treat yourself to our crave-worthy favorites, like our prawn linguine or short rib with mashed potatoes. Join us this Monday in Roseville, Rockland, or Sacramento. Reserve now at bennettsrestaurants.com. Make Monday the new fun day at Bennett's.
It's Laramie the Golden Retriever with Vince Bloom the Big Guy.
The weather's getting cooler, but at Folsom Lake Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, the deals are hotter than ever.
How do you mean, Vince?
Prices are falling like leaves in every Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram in stock.
During the Black Friday sales event at Folsom Lake Dodge, save over $12,000 net savings off MSRP on 2 new 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4x4s. Net price, just $48,995.
And here's another hot deal.
Take $14,980 net savings off MSRP on a new 2025 Jeep Wrangler 4-door Willys, just $42,495. Run at this net price.
So drive into Folsom Lake Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Now is the time for a deal, right, Laramie?
At Folsom Lake Dodge.
To the Folsom Auto Mall and online at folsomlakedodge.com.
Ram includes 6540 dealer discount plus 6170 and national stackable below MSRP retail cash. Ends SN 758655 and SN 772532. Wrangler includes 6460 dealer discount plus 5500 and bonus national retail loyalty and selected inventory cash. Must have FCA vehicle registered in your name for longer than 30 days. In SW 543908, see dealer for details. Expires 12/125.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number:
800-941-4184. 800-941-4184. 800-941-4184. That's 800-941-4184.
For more than 4 decades, Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort has been trusted by home and business owners for their professional expertise in heating, air conditioning, and solar energy. Your home is your castle, and at Sierra Pacific, we thank you for 40 great years of trusting us to protect your castle. Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort, solar, heating, and air. SierraPacificHome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air. The guys in the big red trucks.
Tell your friends.
Grant's back.
Grant Napear is back on the Sacramento airwaves right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento. Hello, Sacramento.
Sacktown.
And welcome in.
Grant Napear.
How you been?
You know this guy.
It's your show.
So happy to hear you on the airwaves.
2+ decades on the radio with you.
Just the start of an incredible journey.
Now he's back on Fox Sports 104.7 FM and 890 AM.
3 to 6 every day, Fox Sports Sacramento.
The phone number?
916-779-0929.
His name? Grant Napear.
The holidays are finally upon us. Thanksgiving week. Boy, do we have a lot going on. How are you? Hope you had a good weekend. It's not a good weekend if you're a fan of the Raiders. When was the last time you had a good weekend if you're a fan of the Raiders? When's the last time you were relevant? Thanksgiving week. When's the last time that you had a chance to be real excited about this team? They're pathetic. You know what's amazing to me about the Raiders? They always have to blame somebody. Let's fire this person, let's fire that person. A couple of weeks ago, they fired their special teams coach. Now, they fired Chip Kelly, who was it's hard to believe. He was the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL. Doesn't make it through 1 year with the Raiders. Pete Carroll firing him last night after they lost at home to the Browns 24-10. When's Pete Carroll going to take the accountability? I mean, Pete Carroll's done a horrible job with this team. Now, in all fairness to Pete, he didn't inherit the best situation. Losing Colton Miller back in September at tackle certainly didn't help. And you lose your right guard earlier this month, and, it's been an issue. Geno Smith has not played well. You thought after week 1, when they went to Foxborough and beat the Patriots, wow, Pete Carroll, the Raiders are back. Not so fast. Not so fast. The Raiders are 2-9. 2-9. Thanks goodness for the Jets at 2-9 and in Tennessee Titans with only 1 win and 10 losses. Seriously, though, what's the deal with this franchise? I know what the deal is. I talk about it all the time. It's the owner. Starts with Mark Davis. It's just a joke. It really is. I mean, you're in the middle of the season. Your team's terrible. Let's go blame Chip Kelly. Let's go blame our special teams coach. Let's go blame, instead of fixing the problem. 24-10 the final in the debut of Shedeur Sanders. I thought Sanders made some very good players. I also thought he made some very bad reads, bad interception. But for his first start, I thought he was pretty good. I don't like his act and his bravado, although, that's his personality. So you are who you are. And I'm not so sure that that's ever going to change. I mean, that is part of the total package. We'll see next week when they play San Francisco. Speaking of San Francisco, raise your hand if you thought that the game on Monday Night Football of Thanksgiving week would determine a lot in the NFC playoffs. And that's where we're at right now. Carolina is 6-5. You've got the Bucs, who are really struggling right now, 3 straight losses. You've got Carolina, who I can't figure out. Good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. Very inconsistent at 6-5. Look at it, the Niners at 7-4. The Rams, to me, they are playing so well right now, obviously, at 9-2. Then Seattle at 8-3. Pretty much a must-win for the Niners. I don't think it's a must-win for Carolina because that division is so bad that I think they could lose and they could still win the division. If I'm looking at the Niners, any hopes of still winning the division tonight has to be a win. I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, I don't think winning the division is that big of a deal for a team like San Francisco. I really don't. They can win on the road. That's not an issue for them. They're not going to get a bye anyway.
And here's their schedule. All right, so after tonight, they go to Cleveland next week. Then they have a bye. And I love a late bye. I think it's perfect. Then it gets them set up for the stretch drive. Tennessee at home, win. And then at Indianapolis, home against an improved Bears team. And then the game that is going to be one entertaining matchup, because I think it will mean something, is the last game of the year at home against Seattle. So you should win tonight, in my opinion. You should win at Cleveland. Then you get a bye week. You should win at Tennessee. So if you're able to do those things, all right, that's at least 10 wins with at Indy, Chicago at home, and Seattle at home. It's going to be very interesting. Keep your eye on the 49ers and that game tonight, okay? That game tonight is going to be something. I don't have a read still, and that's really crazy to say that. I mean, I know some of the teams in the NFL like you do that I think are pretty good. Not invincible, not like great, not like, oh, wow, I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs. Are the Rams becoming that team? I mean, is Matthew Stafford just on fire? The Rams defense is the real deal. I still really like Seattle. I think Seattle's going to be knocking on the door when we get right to the end of the season for the division. You know, they weren't great yesterday, but after the loss last week against LA, road game, long flight, 4 hours, going to Tennessee, they went on the road. That's the one thing I give them credit for. They are 5-1 on the road. So I still think Seattle's going to be right there. My big question mark, in a big spot, I can trust Matthew Stafford. In a big spot, I know that Matthew Stafford is not going to wet his pants. I can't say that about Sam Darnold based on last year and based on what I saw last week. That's the big difference to me right now in the Seahawks and the Rams. I have confidence. I have trust in Stafford. I don't have that trust in a big spot for Darnold based on what I've seen in the past. Has there been a better coaching job this year in the National Football League than Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears? They win at home 31-28. They just find ways to win. They're 4-1 at home. They're 8-3 overall. And you got to take your hats off to the Bears because they are relevant again for the first time in eons after mistakes at the quarterback position with Trubisky and Fields, which cost them a lot of draft capital. They're back. And they are well coached. They've got a quarterback who looks like finally they've got their guy in Caleb Williams. I mean, not invincible, but who is in the NFL? Seriously. What team are you looking at that you would say, oh, they're great. There are no great teams in the NFL, I don't think. Yeah, New England's 10-2, right? Denver's 9-2. In the NFC, again, I don't know if I would say great next to the Rams. I would say very good. It's going to be a lot of fun, these playoffs. A lot of fun. So you have the Niners and the Carolina Panthers coming up tonight on Monday Night Football. All right, the Kings are back home after their road trip, and they take on the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. Already have played them twice this year. So another meeting tonight at home. Speaking of Minnesota, Jim Peterson, one-time Sacramento King, great guy with a capital G. One of the best. One of the very best. He's going to be joining the program coming up here at 4 o'clock. So I can't wait to talk to Jim. You look at Minnesota right now, they're 10-6. Good team. And they are good on the road this year, 5-3. They are 7th, though, at 10-6. Very interesting. The team that I really thought would be a lot better than people gave them credit for at the beginning of the year, the Phoenix Suns, they're 11-6. They're off to that tremendous start at 11-6. And then you have the Kings near the bottom of the West, 2 games up on New Orleans, who can see them all. The Kings are 4-13. Coming off, though, a win against Denver. We'll see if that gives them any momentum, feeling good about where things are as we get you into Thanksgiving week. I was not that impressed with the win against Denver. I'm not like downplaying it. I'm not like, but it's to me, it's about consistency, right? There are schedule games in the NBA. The Kings have already had schedule games where they have been the victim of that. That was the case on Saturday. That was plain and simple a schedule game. But with that said, they still played well. So I got to give them credit. So Minnesota tonight, that improved team that I was just talking about, Phoenix, coming up on Wednesday, at Utah Friday, and then Memphis coming up at home on Sunday. Then welcome to December. Congratulations. You get to go to Houston and play the Rockets. You get to go to Miami and play the Heat, who are off to a tremendous start with Tyler Hero coming back. Well, you do get the Indiana Pacers. You should be able to win that game. And then fasten your seatbelts because you have Portland with a home and home. So you got Portland on the road, Portland at home. Houston comes to town. The best team in East, Detroit, comes to town. Let me repeat myself. The best team in the East, Detroit, comes to town. And then it's Merry Christmas. Yeah, I don't think so. So that's where we're at. All right? That's where we're at. And as far as the Kings go, okay, Sam Amick from The Athletic had each team's worry 1 month into the NBA season was the headline. Sam wrote, "Where do we start? This roster needs to be blown up. Plain and simple, these Kings who were not constructed by current GM Scott Perry are just god-awful. And there's zero evidence that it's going to change anytime soon. Combine that with the locker room being full of proud vets, dudes who have accomplished a lot in this league, and it's safe to say the frustration level is quite high in Sacramento." That's from Sam. Speaking of frustration levels, did you see what happened in the Memphis game over the weekend with the Dallas Mavericks and Ja Morant, who was not even playing, and the incident with Klay Thompson, 102-96, where the Grizzlies won that game? But all the attention is coming to what happened after the game, all right? And then the flare-up with Morant and Klay Thompson. One thing I've always respected about Klay, the guy's a big-time professional. Always has been, always will be. Ja Morant, he is the furthest thing from a professional. This was Klay Thompson after the game.
And then with Ja, he's a funny guy. He has a lot to say all the time, especially for a guy who rarely takes accountability. But you know what? That's for another day.
What did Ja have to say on this occasion?
Nothing of intelligent depth. It was really just his just running his mouth, and he's been running his mouth for a long time. And it's funny to run your mouth when you're on the bench. It's kind of the story of his career so far, just leaving us wanting more. You know, we all want to see him out there and do his best, but he's just been letting a lot of other stuff get in the way of that. And we need that in the NBA. We need our best players to be out there. And when you're a star, it comes with a great responsibility. And I hate to see that go to waste.
You know, how classy is that? Seriously, he rips Morant, but then has enough fortitude and enough presence then to compliment him about his talent and that it's a shame to see it go to waste. What a fabulous soundbite from Klay Thompson. And if you are in the numbers, how about these numbers from NBA Radio, Frank Isola and Brian Scalabrine?
Do you know that since Klay missed those 2 years, Brian, it was the knee first, then it was Achilles, right? So he missed back-to-back seasons.
Knee in the finals.
Yep.
All the way up until the draft, and then the Achilles the day before the draft or on draft day.
Yeah.
So knee 1 year, Achilles the next year, and then he made his way back like a year and a half later.
All right. So since then, Klay Thompson has played more games than Ja Morant.
Oh, my God.
A guy coming off a knee and an Achilles has played more games than that knucklehead who now he's known for his running his mouth.
How about that? Wow. That's incredible. I did not know that. All right. Hey, if you want to get in on the program, you want to text the show, easy to do so. 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. Let's say hello to Mike in Galt. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Grant, how's it going?
Good, Mike.
Good. Couple things. One thing, the Kings in Denver. I was like, what the heck is going on with the Joker? He's so big. He's so strong. He's like an ox. You can't move the guy. Yet he's flopping around he's just trying to get the call. And he kept going to the flop on repeat. I'm like, yo, tee this guy up. It's so egregious. If I was Christie, I was losing my mind on the couch. I would have got a technical if I was the coach.
Yeah,
And
it doesn't bother
like
me. He
he
grew up watching Vlade Divac's play. That's just that's not a big deal to me. The guy's one of the greatest players of all time. And, the league could crack down on that. You can fine a player for flopping. I mean, maybe they look into that, but I can't really criticize Nikola Jokic. He's a multiple-time MVP. He's a world champion, both in America and on the international stage. I can't criticize the guy. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I really can't criticize him. And I'm not saying that flopping doesn't bother me at times, because it does, but there are mechanisms in place for the NBA to deal with that.
Yeah, well, it just made me mad because it's probably some of the worst flopping that I've seen. And whoever guarded him in the post or high post, he kept going back to it. I think it kind of like angered the Kings. It's like, yo, this guy is trying to get MVP calls. I get it, but just do it the right way.
Yeah, I understand.
In my opinion, as a fan, I felt he was cheating the game a little bit. Like, poor Eubank is out there playing pants on fire. This guy's just, getting flop calls. And I think sometimes the refs weren't calling it, but it was some of the motions were so like unnatural that they should have like called that out.
Mike, on the post-game show that we did, on the post-game show that we always do on YouTube and X after the game, and Jerry Reynolds is very fair about this. He thought the Kings got a bad whistle in that game, and part of the reason was what you're referring to. So, yes, I think your point's well taken.
Yeah, and at the end of that game, it seems like we were going to lose, like classic Kings. He went for a three, and I'm like, why don't we foul this guy or anybody before they get a three up? And he basically, DeRozan saved us with the and one shot. So I'll take the win, and I'm just excited because every win for us is going to count. I think we're on pace for maybe 25 wins.
Yeah, I'm not excited. That game does nothing for me. My excitement level, no, I'm not excited at all. It's one game. It doesn't mean anything to me. Seriously, I'm just being honest. It doesn't mean anything to me. And if you don't start playing the young players like Nick Clifford and Keon Ellis, and then it's, to me, a waste. So, it means nothing to me. Now, if the Kings can get on a little bit of a roll and win tonight and show me that they're capable of, starting to take care of home court with a win tonight and a win against Phoenix, then I'll say, okay, they've turned the corner. But just because they beat an exhausted Denver team doesn't tell me that they turned the corner. Speaking of Denver, by the way, it's been announced that Aaron Gordon, their outstanding power forward, is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with a hamstring issue. Mike, appreciate the phone call. You have a good afternoon.
All right, thank you.
All right. Hey, Village Financial Group. All right. The holidays are coming up. Are you in the market for buying a home, selling a home? How about a home equity line of credit to get you through the holidays? With the rates, again, looking favorable. Take advantage of that. I've known broker owner Spencer Grimmenstein for 25 years. That's when he began his family-owned business. So I talk about experience, right? I talk about financing. He's a financing specialist. Spence is very creative. And keep this in mind. He has access to private money. So again, home equity line of credit, buying a home, selling a home, whatever your real estate needs, call or text Spence at 916-805-4868. That's 916-805-4868. And be sure and call for the investor special. Go online at bfgloans.com. You'll find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. Kings tonight at home. Jim Peterson, former King, TV analyst for the Timberwolves. My guest at 4 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Cameron, I just think we need to, see other people.
Are you trading me in?
No. A trade-in is what I'm getting from Kitchen Mart.
A trade-in.
Right now, Kitchen Mart's offering a $750 credit when you trade in your old kitchen countertops for something worth showing off, like granite, marble, or solid surface.
I'm not worth showing off?
Not like the stunning new quartz countertops Kitchen Mart just installed for Karen and Tom.
Huh.
Durable, easy cleanup, made their kitchen look brand new. And Kitchen Mart gave them a $750 trade-in credit to haul off their ugly old tile and grout countertop.
You're dumping me.
That's harsh. You want me to wait till I get the new countertops from Kitchen Mart?
At least hold off till Wednesday. I'm seeing Susan.
Susan!
Now's the perfect time to trade up to beautiful new quartz, granite, marble, or solid surface countertops. Because for a limited time, Kitchen Mart's offering a $750 trade-in credit for your old countertops. Go to kitchenmart.com today and schedule a free in-home consultation and save $750 off new countertops.
No one does it better than kitchenmart.com.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant addiction. They can also be a time for pause, reflection, opportunity, and new beginnings. This holiday season, choose treatment and recovery. Embrace the company of family and friends and create special moments. Find a proven opioid or stimulant addiction treatment provider near you at choosechangeca.org.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Remember, always be generous with the nutmeg. Just eyeball it.
Okay.
Mom's wisdom has served you well, but now it may be your turn to guide her.
Hey, I'm worried about Mom. She keeps forgetting her famous sweet potato pie recipe.
Some things come with age, sis.
And some don't.
Knowing the early signs of Alzheimer's in a loved one will help you make the best decisions for your family. Visit 10signs.org to learn the signs. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You know, we talk about young quarterbacks a lot, right? First-year quarterbacks, second-year quarterbacks, and how some just take many years to develop or being in the right situation. I mean, look at Daniel Jones. Look at Baker Mayfield. Look at Sam Darnold. I mean, there are many examples, right? Many examples. You look at Shedeur Sanders. Is he going to be the future for the Cleveland Browns? He will be starting. It was announced over Dylan Gabriel, even though Gabriel has been cleared to play. So he is going to be starting next week against San Francisco. But I always look at young quarterbacks, and then I look at J.J. McCarthy. If you go back to that first game of the year, right? You remember Minnesota at Chicago, and the Vikings were just terrible, and they were bad, right? Terrible. Absolutely putrid. And then what happened in the fourth quarter? McCarthy was just incredible. Rallied his team to a victory, and it was like he just grew up right in front of his teammates and won over the locker room. That was the view that TV gave you. Now, we know that he isn't a true rookie by the sense of the word rookie, although by his playing status, it was his first time on an NFL field because of his injury last year. He didn't play at all last year. The Vikings last year had Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones on their roster. Think about that for a minute. And they decided, for a variety of reasons, they invested a first-round pick in McCarthy. He's on a rookie deal. That was going to be the future of their football team. And I'm just wondering, if you're a fan of the Minnesota Vikings and you see how bad McCarthy's been this year and how that it looks like he's not close, and you look at how well Sam Darnold has played, you look at what Daniel Jones is doing for Indianapolis, is that because, well, Darnold was very good with Minnesota, so let's make that very clear. But what does that tell you, or does it tell you anything? Like, if I'm looking at the Minnesota Vikings right now in that stacked division, and let's make no mistake about it, that division with the Bears now, a team that I don't think any of us thought would be relevant for a playoff spot this year, even those in Chicago. I know a lot of Bears fans, many Bears fans. They're shocked by this. They are absolutely shocked by this. And you look at Minnesota, right? They're in last place. They're not going to the playoffs. They're 1-4 at home and 3-3 on the road. Okay? Think about that for a minute. The Chicago Bears, 4-1 at home, 4-2 on the road. Minnesota, 1-4 at home, 3-3 on the road. Now, here's something that's a little peculiar when I look at the Bears, and I'm wondering if, like, are they really as good as their 8-3 record indicates? Do you know that their point differential is -3? Green Bay's is +61. Detroit is +83. And the Bears are -3. Think about this. They lost 27-24 in week 1. They got blown out in week 2, 52-21. Then they win 31-14 against Dallas, beat the Raiders 25-24, win at Washington 25-24, beat New Orleans 26-14, lose 30-16, win 47-42, win 24-20, win 19-17, win 31-28. Look at all their close wins. Barely beat the bad Raiders, barely beat a bad Washington team, barely beat a bad Cincinnati team, got a gift from the Giants because the Giants have been in a holiday charitable mood all season, barely beat a bad Minnesota team, barely beat Pittsburgh without Aaron Rodgers. Are the Bears really as good as their 8-3 record? See, I'm not so sure. I'm really not. I don't know if, like, of all the teams that I could play in the playoffs, I'd probably say give me the Chicago Bears, whether it's in Chicago or it's on the road. But if I want to stay in that division, and if you're a fan of the Minnesota Vikings, aren't you just going, really? We had both Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones, and they felt that it was okay to give the keys to the car to J.J. McCarthy? And I'm not burying the guy after 2/3 of a season because I don't think that would be appropriate. He was out a while, high ankle sprain, now concussion issue. But I just wonder if you can look at a player like Justin Jefferson, who is not good but great, okay? And you had a tremendous combination last year with Darnold and Jefferson, and you look at what Daniel Jones is doing in Indianapolis and say to yourself, wow, I didn't do what's best for the best player on my football team with Justin Jefferson. I'm not so sure about this Minnesota Vikings team. Again, they are 4-7. They're in last place. So your thoughts on that? Anything else going on in the NFL? Yes, you can give me a call. I invite you to do so, both here and on the text line at 916-779-0929. All right? We got a lot to talk about. I mentioned Sam Amick, a very respected writer from the Athletic, right? And he had an interview in the Athletic with Scott Perry over the weekend. It was 30 minutes in duration, all right? And so they went over a lot of things, and I'll get into it, okay? And said this about the impatient fans that Sam asked him about, quote, I totally understand their frustrations to this point. It hasn't been what they wanted, but again, it's the old saying that Rome wasn't built in a day, and that's a fact. If you look at a number of the top teams in the league, they all went through a very tough stretch when they were trying to lay a foundation and create an environment that led to sustainable winning. All I've ever asked from the very beginning is just buckle up, be patient for the ride. We definitely have a plan in place, and we'll do this thing together. I don't know. He was asked by Sam in The Athletic, okay, about the amount of optimism that this would be a competitive team right now when Sam talked to him in the preseason. Quote, this season was about evaluation and also creating an environment that could lead to potential sustainable success. Two things before I even go on. The evaluation has not even started yet because they haven't allowed their players to be evaluated, in my opinion. And number two, all right, lead to potential sustainable success. We've gone the opposite direction there. Scott went on and said, and we went into this season laser focused on that. We want to compete at a high level, and we want to create identity in how we want to play. Well, that obviously hasn't happened. We wanted to play fast. That hasn't happened. We wanted to be tough, and we wanted to become a better defensive team. Now, obviously, at this juncture, we have not been successful in that goal or that vision. So has that been disappointing? Yeah, that's been disappointing. But again, part of that evaluation is that you learn about everyone and everything here. It's still relatively early with a lot of basketball left to play, and there's still an opportunity to work on developing an identity, becoming a much more competitive team. That is what I will continue to do moving forward. So that's where I'm at right now. And just for the record, I think it's important to note that I have the autonomy to do so and to be able to do those things. Well, first of all, I don't believe Scott Perry that he has the autonomy to do so. I know every general manager said that. Monte McNair said that. Vlade Divac said that. I mean, Pete Delastran. I mean, come on, stop it. I mean, come on. All right. And Sam, I love Sam. He's very good at what he does. He followed that up with, well, that's definitely something that people want to know more about. I've reported in the past, before you came back, that Vivek played a significant part in the decision to fire Mike Brown last year, that he played a significant part in the decision to trade De'Aaron, specifically for Zach LaVine, who was with Chicago. And there's been a reality for a long time now that his involvement made things more challenging for people in the front office. So how would you characterize the way that it has functioned so far and your level of confidence that the dynamic can be healthy? Again, this is from Sam Amick in The Athletic. When I used the word autonomy, I meant that. I'm not someone, and you know me well enough, that I'm not someone who will give lip service or say something that's not actual truth or fact. This is from Scott Perry, okay? These are the words from Scott Perry. As a fan base examines and looks at the moves, they need to look at it. And again, if you're wanting to know when Sam interviewed Scott Perry, it was via phone on Saturday afternoon, 2 days ago. So I want to be very clear when this conversation took place that I'm reading from The Athletic. This is Scott Perry. So as the fan base examines and looks at moves, they need to look at it. From the time I got here to however long I'm going to be here, I'm going to have the ultimate autonomy and authority to make what I believe are the necessary decisions to give the fan base, this fan base that's been yearning for winning for so long, an opportunity to have that time, a type of team to cheer for. But we're a ways away from that now, obviously. I want them to feel comfortable and confident in my years of experience in this position, as well as a number of the members of my front office, because we do this as a collective. We will eventually get where we want to go, and people will be proud of the product that they see on the floor. That's just some of the stuff that's in there. All right? Now, I want to get to this point about Doug Christie when we come back. All right? Because there's a lot in here on Scott about Doug Christie, and I want to do that next, right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic, starting to see a little bit of a rush hour delay on the Cap City Freeway in between El Camino Avenue and Exposition Boulevard, especially on the southbound side. Northbound side, a little sluggish from T Street up until about E Street, so watch out for that delay. I-5 is in really good shape in between Top of the Town Freeway and US 50. US 50 is also in really good shape throughout Sacramento, so enjoy the ride. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports, Sacramento.
Hey, it's Grant Napear. Let me talk to you about my friends at DAS Mechanical. If you're considering renovating and or retrofitting your home in 2026, then you need DAS. My friend Nick Delancey's family, they have years of retrofitting experience. They are awesome, and they do both residential and commercial properties. Next year's nearly here, so the time is now. Plan ahead, and the company to plan ahead with is DAS. Don't procrastinate. Make the call. Discuss your renovation project. Get their expert estimate and get your project on DSA's 2026 calendar. Trust me when I say trust Nick and DAS Mechanical. You can book everything online at dasmechanical.org. That's D as in dog, A-S as in Sam, mechanical.org. Check out all of their 5-star reviews and their numerous Best of the Best awards. That's dasmechanical.org.
Looking for the perfect spot to watch the game and enjoy amazing food and drinks? Look no further than Fieldhouse American Sports Pub. Family owned and operated, Fieldhouse is passionate about creating a fun, welcoming atmosphere for everyone. Spice things up on Tuesdays with Taco Tuesday. Buy any order of our delicious tacos and get a refreshing margarita for just $6. On Wednesday, Fieldhouse features incredible drink specials. Enjoy $5 well drinks and ice cold pints all day long. Fieldhouse was voted the #1 sports bar in Sacramento. Tons of TVs, a mouth-watering menu, and daily specials. It's the perfect sports bar to catch all the action. Visit us today at 1833 Fulton Avenue. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, where the food is fantastic, the drinks are flowing, and the good times never stop. Fieldhouse, bring it to the house.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant use disorder. Complex family dynamics, financial strain, and cultural expectations can weigh heavily and become a tipping point for those battling the physical and mental effects of addiction. But the holidays can also be a time for pause, reflection, opportunity, and new beginnings. They're a chance to take stock of what we have and are thankful for, to remember what's most important to us, and to consider what we can change. The holidays are a time of hope. So this holiday season, choose treatment and recovery. Embrace the support and company of family and friends, and create special moments. Get started by finding a proven opioid or stimulant addiction treatment provider near you at choosechangeca.org. Find a proven treatment option that's right for you. Recover you at choosechangeca.org. That's choosechangeca.org.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Welcome to HQ Showgirls, Sacramento's premier adult gentlemen's club. We're the only topless club between Reno and San Francisco serving alcohol, beer, wine, and champagne. All inside over 6,000 square feet of pure excitement. Planning a party or a VIP night? Call our VIP manager now at 916-389-0199 to book your table. Come experience the energy at HQ Showgirls, 851 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento. Open 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Visit hqnightclub.com, where the night begins and never stops.
Don't forget Jim Peterson, former King, TV analyst of the Timberwolves, in 20 minutes. I'm talking about an interview in The Athletic that Sam Amick did over the telephone on Saturday with Kings general manager Scott Perry. Sam asked a question this way. Let's talk about Doug. You were very candid when he was first given the job that you were assessing the roster and him. He has been extremely passionate and intense at times early on when it comes to his own frustrations and trying to get these guys where he wants them to go. That news conference before the Nuggets game at home certainly got people talking. How would you assess the job that Doug has done so far? Scott Perry answered the question this way. I think the things that are Doug's strengths, as you talked about, is that he has a lot of natural leadership qualities. He's very passionate and emotional about the Sacramento Kings. Obviously, he was part of really the last team that had that sustainable success we talked about. So this means a great deal to him. And this is his first year as a head coach, so there's a learning curve for him as well. But I've got complete confidence, and the organization does as well, that he's going to be able to lead this team into better times. I think he would be the first to say to you that we're not where we want to be. We have not achieved that consistent competitive product on the floor. We have not consistently started to show the identity that is necessary to create that sustainable winner. But I can tell you, as well as say it to the Sacramento community, that this guy is working extremely hard to push every single button to do so. I've been around long enough to know that coaching's not easy. I'm a former coach, and it's difficult, tough task. But I believe he's up to it. I'm confident that he's up to it, and we'll continue to support him and to help him like we're going to do with our young players. I want to play a part in helping him develop as a head coach and in him being the one to ultimately lead us towards sustaining winning that we've talked about. Now, there's an area of this interview that I think is very important, all right? And it has to do with what I've talked about and what the fans have talked about with what is the goal, what is going on here. So Doug asked a question that was in a follow-up mode, but you don't need to hear the prior part of it because this is the part I want to get to. So could we see some of these older vets see less time on the floor in exchange for developmental priorities? Here's how Scott Perry answered that question from Sam Amick in the interview in The Athletic. Look, the mission for Doug and the coaching staff and the players is that we've got to compete every night and we have to develop their identity. So whoever's going to provide that on the court on a consistent basis needs to be playing. If that's the young guys, then yes. If the veteran guys are providing that on a consistent basis and pushing us forward, then okay. We'll look at that too. But we're about doing what's right for the organization, not just in the short term, but more importantly in the long term here. That's what I'm thinking for. It's guys like Nick Clifford and Max Reyno, right? Keegan Murray, he went on and talked about these players. Some of the younger players on the roster will get an opportunity to grow and play and put their hands in with the collective and show that they can be part of a group that contributes to sustainable winning. The only way you're going to find that out is to actually get them out there in game competition. They've got to be able to grow and learn from mistakes as well. I think you'll continue to see that as the season moves forward. Well, I haven't seen that yet. Have you seen that? Ryder, what'd you think about this story? What stuck out to you with the interview that Sam did in The Athletic interviewing Scott Perry? What stood out to you about that?
There's a number of things that stood out to me, but let's talk about the most recent one, identity. Here's my problem with that, and I think you're hitting on this as well. The quote-unquote identity that's going to be created will be created by guys that are going to other teams or retiring. So you're going to be starting the process over with the young guys if they are not integrated into this.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. And I still do not. We talked about this the other night after the Denver game with Jerry, and we talked about it previously on our post-game shows, and we'll be on there tonight, by the way, right after the game. There's no rhyme or reason to how Doug's coaching his team right now. Some nights Keon Ellis gets into the game in the first quarter. Some nights he barely plays at all. Nate Clifford is not playing much at all. He's your number one pick. A lot of people had high hopes for him, and I'm not saying they still don't have high hopes for him, but like, what's going on? Like, what's the plan? It doesn't make sense to me. You have DeMar DeRozan, who quite frankly looks checked out. I mean, I'm sorry, but he does. Okay. It just doesn't make sense to me right now.
In the totality of what we've seen so far in this season, there's nothing that jumps off the page to me, starting with Nate Clifford, that says he can't be on the floor. He shouldn't be on the floor. Put his film next to some of the other guys that are getting 20 or 30 minutes, and it's like, how do you not find a little more time there? As for Max, I think we're starting to see more of it, but to Scott's earlier point in the interview, Grant, he said defensive identity. That's what we wanted to do. Well, why the heck is Keegan Keon Ellis sitting on the bench?
It makes no sense to me at all. It makes no sense to me. So anyway, Scott's been in seclusion, and I don't mean that in the way it may have sounded, but he has not been accessible to the media. We haven't heard anything from Scott Perry, and if we have, correct me if I'm wrong, since the season began. And so this is really the first comments period, and the only comments of substance that we've seen from Scott since training camp. And here we are in the last week of November. So at least it's nice to know that he was willing to speak to a member of the media, and in this case, Sam Amick from The Athletic.
Grant, does one line in Sam's question to him earlier in the interview jump out to you when talking about Doug Christie? Sam didn't say when you hired Doug Christie. He said when Doug Christie was given the position.
And I'm not surprised by that because Sam is really, really good at what he does. Sam knows exactly what happened. Sam knows exactly what's going on in Sacramento. Again, I think you hit it right on the head. Sam asked, you were very candid when he was first given the job that you were assessing the roster on him. He didn't say when you hired Doug. He said you were candid when he was given the job instead of saying, hey, when you hired Doug, okay, you said blah, blah, blah. That's not the way Sam phrased it. It's very excellent, very, very good job by Sam there. Don't you agree?
100%. It's real. It's honest. And Scott did not correct him.
No, he can't correct him because he'd be lying. I mean, he can't correct him, and there's no reason for Scott to correct him there because there would be no benefit in Scott correcting him there because everyone knows what happened. And Scott is not stupid. He understands that it's common knowledge. And I don't want to brag, but I'm the one that told you this.
Right.
I was the first one to report this. I was the only one to report this for a period of time. The night that it happened, okay, before Scott Perry even put pen to paper on his contract, I laid it out exactly how it happened. And I did that based on knowing how the organization works. And I did that based on knowing the key individuals in the organization that were going to make these decisions, starting with Vivek Ranadive. There was never a doubt in my mind after the Kings got embarrassed by the Dallas Mavericks when Shams Charania of ESPN was the first to report that Monte McNair was leaving, and he was the first to report the name of Scott Perry. I made it very clear on that night and the very next day that Doug Christie would be retaining his job, and that if Scott Perry took the job, he would do so knowing full well that Doug was going to be his coach. And I also said that this season would be a disaster because, once again, you have an owner who doesn't know how to do things the right way. He wants to go out and hire a general manager, but gives the edict, gives the mandatory, you are going to have this individual as a coach. All right? That's the edict. That's the way it's going to be. I want you to be my general manager, but Doug is going to be the coach. Yes or no? Okay? Because you know this, and I know this. Scott Perry can say anything he wants about Doug Christie. Anything. And it doesn't mean that it's true or not true. My point is, he can say anything he wants about Doug Christie. He can use superlatives. He can rip him to shreds. He can talk about Doug in any way, shape, or form he wants in my book. But if there's anyone out here listening right now that thinks that had Scott Perry had full autonomy, like he says that he has from Vivek Ranadive, there is not one chance, not one, that Scott Perry would have hired Doug Christie to be his coach. And anyone that thinks otherwise is naive. Okay? I mean, you must deal with reality when we're talking about this. And that's why Sam phrased the question the way he did. And I'll back this up to something I said before the season even began, during the summer months, before we even officially got to summer, before the NBA draft. I said this, and I was very clear. Had Doug not been retained as coach by Vivek Ranadive, after the embarrassment in the play-in game against the Dallas Mavericks, Doug would not have received any interviews anywhere in the NBA to be a head coach. You know it, and I know it. And Sam knows it. So that's a really good job by Sam. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head about the autonomy. I'm glad you tied that together, but Sam's not going to breach his standard, right?
No.
He's not going to step on his tail like that and do kind of what the pseudo Monty McNair interview was last year after Fox gets traded and Mark Jones sits down with him, and obviously
it's a joke.
The building wrote the questions.
It's a joke.
So, but I do respect, like you said, I respect Scott Perry for coming out and, at least sitting down with Sam.
Yes.
Even in this piece, it says that it had to be briefly edited or slightly edited for brevity. So they talked for a minute. I guess the only thing for me where I want to be fair to Scott Perry is we are not even 25 games into this season. So what is the number that is realistic for you, Grant, that if this continues, what we've seen, for this thing to flip a little bit, where he's not holding true to what he's saying in this interview with the young guys?
When you mean number, are you talking about wins and losses?
Sample size of games for this front office to really know that this is a fair sample size. Because to a degree, it's not fair of us to be jumping on them after, 16, 17 games?
I think 41 games.
Okay. And Jerry's hinted at that many times on our postgame.
Right. I think half the season. What do you think the number is?
I think it's right around there. Right around or after the All-Star break.
My biggest problem with this team is not their record, okay? My biggest problem with their team is how non-competitive they've been in way too many games. I'm looking at their point differential. That's my biggest issue with this team. I don't really have a problem with the team being 4-13, okay? I don't. I have a problem with how they have gotten to 4-13. I have a problem with how many games they have been embarrassed. I have a problem with their compete level. I have a problem with how darn awful they are defensively, right? There are a lot of factors that I look at with this team that bother me a lot more than their record.
Grant, this team is 0-9 in games that are decided by 10 points or more, going both ways. 0-9.
How about that? Yep. Yeah, well, the point differential pretty much says it all. And tonight, you're taking on a Minnesota team. Obviously, it's the first time this year you'll have Keegan Murray, but you don't have Sabonis. They're big. Gobert has destroyed Sabonis in the past. They don't have to worry about that tonight. You have tough matchups, and then you have Anthony Edwards, who can go off and get hot and carry a team like he did in one of the previous meetings with the Kings and the Timberwolves. So, and here's the other deal. You're coming off a long road trip, 5 games, first game back at home, only 1 day off against a Minnesota team that's had 2 full days off and coming off a loss.
Yeah, here's the thing. In more games that I can remember against Minnesota, the Kings have had these good segments where they've kept Edwards under control. If they're going to win tonight, they have to capitalize on that. And I feel a little bit better having Keegan in that rotation now that can play some on Edwards, but I think you're going to have to see some Keon. You just can't have one of those 3-quarter performances, or in some cases, 2-quarter performances against Edwards and let him back in. He'll give you the opportunity to take him out sometimes.
Other games tonight, Jazz are in San Francisco to take on the Warriors. Here's a good game. Rockets and Suns from Phoenix. Bulls, Pelicans, the Bucks host the Trailblazers. Denver is in Memphis. Again, Aaron Gordon now out 4 to 6 weeks, so you would think they're going to come down the ladder a couple of rungs. And again, we talk about like the luck of the schedule, right? The Kings played Denver without Gordon. It would have been nice to play him in the other 2 games without Gordon, but it didn't work that way. They're now done with the Nuggets for the year. The Mavericks are in Miami to take on the Heat. Tyler Hero is going to play tonight for the first time this year, coming off surgery. So that should only make them better, and they're already off to a good start. Nets and Knicks from Brooklyn. Cavs are in Toronto to take on the Raptors and Detroit. How about those Detroit Pistons at 14-2? See, Sacramento, there is hope for you. The Pistons were the Sacramento Kings just 2 years ago, and now look at them at 14-2. What a story they are, Rhino. What a story.
Pretty good stuff. They came in with a chip on their shoulder coming off last season, and now they're proving it. Cade Cunningham, quite the player.
And they got Jaden Ivey back. So here we go. Watch out for Detroit. I didn't think Toronto would be 12-5 either, and they're playing well. I thought Cleveland was going to be there. Look at the East. We keep on talking about the West. How about the East? 14-2 Detroit, 12-5 Toronto, 12-6 Cleveland, 11-6 Miami, 11-7 Atlanta, 9-6 the Knicks. I mean, the 10th place team's 9-8. The 10th place team in the West is 6-11.
Yeah, the West is kind of eating each other up, and you have teams that are underachieving. But to your point with Miami, Davion Mitchell, 12 assists last night.
Yeah. Didn't he used to play for the Kings?
I think so.
Yeah.
Was he that first-round pick, I think, 12th, right? A few years ago?
Jim Peterson, TV analyst, former King. Next. He does a great job at the Timberwolves. We'll check in on him when we come back on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic. You're going to find lighter than normal volume throughout most of the Sacramento area. A lot of people do have the week off because of Thanksgiving on Thursday. US 50 right around the Cap City Freeway interchanges. You're going to find some rush hour delays through there. But top of the town freeway along with I-599, no other reported problems through there. You're just starting to see some heavy rush hour delays starting to form. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. That's 800-598-0539.
Decisions determine results. So which path do I want to take? Help people in need or stand on the sidelines watching? Worry about how to pay for school or have my education paid for? Push myself and learn new skills or stay the same? My decision is to serve part-time with the Army National Guard, and my results will be life-changing. What will you decide? Go to NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Aired by the California Broadcasters.
Hey, it's Grant Napear for Village Financial Group. I have known broker-owner Spencer Grimmenstein for 25 years, ever since he began his family-owned business. Whether it's a home equity line of credit or buying or selling a home, Spencer is a very creative financing specialist with access to private money. Check out Village Financial Group at bfgloans.com or call Spencer at 916-805-4868. Be sure and call for the investor special. And if you go to their website, vfgloans.com, you can find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. Folks, Spencer is awesome. Trust me. Again, I've known the guy since 2000. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. Call 916-805-4868.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. But prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, You can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Grant Napear is back every weekday afternoon, 3 to 6. This is Fox Sports, KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Hour number 2, Kings and Timberwolves tonight will be on YouTube and X right after the game. Jerry Reynolds, Ryan in Sacktown. Jim Peterson is the TV analyst for the Timberwolves. We are trying to connect with him at the team hotel before he comes over. So as soon as we get him dialed in, we'll put him on. Got a lot going on, Boyan. What a good first hour. And, of course, you can use this number to text the show or call the show at 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. And hopefully in a minute or two, we'll get Jim Peterson on. Jim was part of the 1998 Kings, the first game ever at Arco 2. And that's when I got to know Jim. All right. Looks like he is good to go. He is truly, without a question, one of the best guys that I have had the pleasure of meeting in all of my years of being around the NBA. He is just top shelf in every way, shape, or form. It's so great to have Jim Peterson join us here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Jim, how are you?
Good, my friend. We've been friends for a long time. I just was telling, we got into the Sacramento last night. From Phoenix, and we just lost a heartbreaker, by the way. And I was telling my broadcast crew, who a bunch of them are new, we've got a bunch of young kids, taking over the producer role, and our sideline reporter is new this year. She's doing about 15 games. So I was trying to explain my day today, and so I said I was going to do this interview with you, and I was trying to explain Grant Napear. And we go back to 1988, and right away we became friends. When I got traded from Houston to Sacramento, you and I connected right away because we're about the same age. I'm 63. Yes. How old are you? You're
66.
Yeah. So we were, about the same age, and you were the new broadcast voice in Sacramento, and you've had this amazing career in broadcasting, one of the big voices in the NBA through your history here in Sacramento, and we have a lot of history, you and I. And so I'm happy to speak to you today. This is great for me to be able to reconnect with you today.
I really appreciate that, Jim. When I had you on my podcast, and we'll talk about tonight's game in a moment, but I want to get to the important stuff. When I had you on my podcast, you talked about your battle with heart disease, your heart attack. Your conversation with the team doctor who told you, get to the hospital, don't drive, take an ambulance.
Yeah.
And what you went through and heart disease. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, in the last 2 weeks, I lost a friend suddenly at the age of 58 to a heart attack. And just 3 days ago, I had another friend who everything was going fine and made it to the hospital in time. And that night had a quadruple bypass. And as we get ready to start the holidays, for some people, this is a very stressful time. For others, it's overeating, not a lot of exercise, so on and so forth. What advice do you have for people as it relates to heart disease and based on your experience?
Well, my dad, had it, so it's kind of hereditary. And so you've got to be on top of all the screening. And so you've got to get, the stress tests, and you got to, if you feel anything, and that's the thing that I think most men, will sort of kind of blow off sort of chest pain. And, the thing about it is that I had my first heart attack when I was 48. I could not believe it. I could not. And I work out. I'm in good shape. I'm not overweight. I work out. I eat well. And I had my heart attack on a game day. And so it kind of felt like heartburn to start with, and it, level 1 or 2 pain turned to level 3 or 4, and then I started sweating, and I called our team doc, and I just was going to drive myself to the hospital. My wife was not in the house; she was out running errands. She was out and about, and so he said, "Do not do that." He said, "Call 911," and I was like, I did not want an ambulance coming to my house and doing all that stuff, but I'm so grateful for that advice, because I did do that. They were at my house in about 5 minutes, 7 minutes maybe. They said when I called 911, they said, "Look, open your front door," because they don't want to have to bash it in, right?
Sure.
So open your front door in case you pass out or something. You want to open your front door. They came in. They had me in the hospital from phone call to hospital to knock the blockage away, to save my life, to in my room. Grant, was about 45 minutes. That's how fast these emergency workers get you to the hospital and make it happen. So it was really fast. And then so subsequently, I probably had 5 or 6 more stents placed along the way, because it just, for some reason, even though I eat well and exercise, that the arteries get occluded. So I had to have other stents placed. But the only reason I didn't have another heart attack was because anytime I felt any kind of chest pain, I went in.
Wow.
And every time I went in, because I kind of felt like that sense that I had when I first had the heart attack, I didn't ignore it. And that's what a lot of people do. They ignore just the telltale signs, and you can't do that. You have to go in. And so I did that, and it my ability to just suck up the pride and just go in, and maybe be inconvenienced, has saved my life. So I have subsequently had a quadruple bypass myself too, by the way. I had bypass surgery back in 2020. So I'm a former professional athlete who's in, I'm not going to say I'm 10 out of 10, but I'm 8 out of 10 in terms of physical fitness and work. I work out every day. And so when I was on the table, when I had my heart attack, when I was 48, and I was telling the surgeon, this gal who was great, I told the surgeon I was getting ready to do my angioplasty. I said, "I cannot believe I'm on this table right now." And she said, "You should see the marathoners that come in here that have, 3% body fat." So that just goes to show you, it can happen to anybody. And that's kind of the point, is that if you feel something, say something and go do something.
Yeah. Don't be stubborn. Don't worry about your bravado, your ego.
Man. Don't be stubborn. Don't be stubborn.
Yep. Jim Peterson, our guest, right here on the Grant Napear Show. Let's get to some basketball, and the team that you cover. After a slow start, it really looks like they found their groove. They've won 6 of 8, coming off a loss, though, to a team that is much improved in Phoenix. Overall, are you pleased with what you see in terms of how the Timberwolves are playing?
Well, if you look at our game log, it's like you see who we win, who we beat, and who we lose to. We are 10-0 versus sub 500 teams and 0-6 against teams that are 500 or above. So we haven't won a game against a winning team, and we haven't lost to a losing team. So on the one hand, you're saying, yeah, we are taking care of business against the teams we should beat. On the other hand, we've lost to the Lakers twice. We lost to Denver twice. We lost at New York against the Knicks, and we just lost against Phoenix. And I'm telling you, Phoenix is a good basketball team, man.
Yes, they are.
They're really good.
Yes, they are. Without Jalen Green, too.
Yeah. So Jordan Knott was the new coach in Phoenix, and he comes from the Kenny Atkinson coaching tree. He was with Kenny in Brooklyn. Michael Grady, who's my broadcast partner, was with him in Brooklyn and knows how good he is. And also, he was in Cleveland last year with Kenny. And Jordan Knott, just talking to all the Phoenix people, you know how we all just kind of you sit there and chat with the other broadcasters and the people that are around the team. They say Jordan Knott has been unbelievable. He knows what he doesn't know, and he's not afraid to say that. And he's very inclusive. You know how some coaches you have, Grant, that are very secretive and they don't want you around and they don't want you to come to practice or shoot around. we've had and I've had in Minnesota. This is my 28th year broadcasting with the Wolves. So I've had coaches that have literally given me the scouting report and allowed to come to practice and shoot around. And they tell you everything. And then I've also had coaches that have absolutely been super secretive. Rick Adelman was one of those coaches too, by the way. Rick
That's
was
right.
Rick never wanted us to come to shoot around a practice. We could never do that. And he wasn't really forthright. Like you couldn't just go up and ask him about a game or like what happened or what do you think or, whatever. But he is still at the same time, it's just a coaching style. So I don't judge it one way or the other. Yeah, I'd like to have access, but I'm used to having or not having. It doesn't really matter to me. But what Jordan Knott has done in that culture, because they've had 4 coaches in 4 years, and they've had 7 coaches in 9 years, and so it's just been a real carousel there of ineptitude. And Jordan Knott has this team playing super hard. So Phoenix is going to be a tough out. They're going to be a good team. I think they have a chance. They get Jalen Green back and they get Grayson Allen back. They beat us without those 2 guys.
Yeah, that's
Jalen
saying
Green
something.
Came back. They are going to be super talented and they defend at a really high level. So just put that in the back of your mind that I'm telling you right now, this is not a team that is going to be out of the top 8. This is going to be a top 8 NBA team. That's just what I think. They're well coached. They have great roster. They got more talent than you think. They got tremendous size. They've got athleticism, shooting, and they defend. So just whatever that's worth. So we've played well against bad teams. We've not played the best. And we had an 8-point lead with 55 seconds in the game. How about that? We lost. They went on a 9-0 run. We turned it over 3 times. Ant missed 2 free throws, and they made every shot. And the one shot they missed, they rebounded and got a putback on it. So they went 4 of 5 in 55 seconds on a 9-0 run, and
wow.
We kicked away a game that we should have won. So that's where we're coming into. We're coming into Sacramento having really lost a devastating game to Phoenix, and then Sacramento's coming in having just beaten the Denver Nuggets, who for Denver probably was a scheduled loss, right? I mean, Denver
yes, that's what I talked about. It was there were those games. You know that there are scheduled games in the NBA, and you benefit from them, and sometimes you're the victim.
Denver.
Yeah.
Especially when you're Denver coming back. So they've got a tough road to hoe. And this is like part and parcel of being in the Western Conference too, because the Eastern Conference is so easy from a travel standpoint because the majority of their conference is in the Eastern time zone.
Sure.
And so they travel around and play each other. They travel in the Eastern time zone.
If
they have to play an Eastern Conference game and they have a back-to-back flying west and they come to the Central time zone, they gain an hour traveling that way. And so for Western Conference teams, we got to play in the Eastern time zone, the Central time zone, the Mountain time zone, and the Pacific time zone. You could have a 4-game road trip played in 4 different time zones, and that's real. And so it's just a lot of travel. So they played in the Central time zone. They had to fly back to their home gym. You know how long that ride is from the Denver airport to your house? It's like a 40-minute ride. That airport is out there in Denver. So, they get into 4 a.m. Sacramento's waiting on them. Aaron Gordon had a hamstring strain, but this is also going to shape the Western Conference.
Sure is.
That Aaron Gordon's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks.
Yep.
So that could impact them. But the thing that I feel sorry for Sacramento fans is that this has been the most brutal schedule for Sacramento that I've ever seen, Grant. I've never seen a team have to play the 3 powerhouses in the Western Conference, Denver, OKC, and Minnesota, 3 times each in the first part of the season.
That's crazy.
I've never seen that before.
Nope, it's terrible.
And then, the long road trips and their strength of schedule is 66-4. The 664 is what there's of the record of the teams that they've had to play here during this first part of the season. So
that's been brutal.
That's by far the hardest. That's the hardest schedule that 8 teams had to play.
No question. Hey, before I let you go, you spent many years of your career playing in Houston with Hakeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson, the Twin Towers. Take me back to Houston. What was it like being on that team?
It was fantastic. You know, when I first was drafted, I was a third round pick. So I was drafted 51st. So I'd be a second round pick today, but there were only 23 teams when I was drafted. And so I was a third round pick. Third round picks didn't typically make it in a 23 team league. I played great in the Midwest Rookie Review, which was Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Denver, and Utah. That was the old Midwest Division.
Mm-hmm.
And it was what we consider the Vegas Summer League now. That was what it was for those teams back then. And I just played great. I was offered a guaranteed contract going into training camp. And when I got down to Houston to start just playing pickup before training camp started, I'd never been around Ralph or Akeem. And so to be around those two, how big Ralph was, because, you know, Ralph's the same size as Wembanyama, you know, or Wemby's
right.
grown a little bit. He's 7'5" now. So, but Ralph was 7'4" and 3-time college player of the year at Virginia and one of the most incredible athletes. And then Olajuwon is arguably, people kind of short shift him, Grant. You have to, Cedric Maxwell and I talk about this all the time. In his mind, Olajuwon is one of the 3 greatest players of all time. He thinks that Olajuwon's better than Bird and better than Magic. Like he thinks he's almost up there with Jordan. And I just think that I think Olajuwon gets short shifted because he was like Jordan on both ends of the floor. He was the greatest defender in the game at the center position and also unstoppable offensively. So that's what it, you know. So going to, you know, the playoffs every year, playing in the finals against the Celtics in '86 with that team. I got traded to Sacramento for Otis Thorpe, which was, you know, Otis ended up getting a championship with Houston. But it was the greatest time of my life. Those 4 years of being with that team with Bill Fitch as the coach, it was just a great time.
It is so awesome to hear your voice. It's great to catch up with you. Happy Thanksgiving, my friend. I wish you nothing but the best. I watch you when I can, always thinking about you. And you're truly one of the guys I miss on the circuit, miss our talks. And I wish you nothing but the best. Great to have you on. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Grant, for having me, bud. We'll talk soon. Happy Thanksgiving to you, too.
Thank you, man.
Okay,
Look forward to
buddy.
it. That's Jim Peterson, the TV analyst of Minnesota. Actually, they called that the Ivory Tower when Jim was on the court with Akeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson. But, yeah, he played 4 years there. It's interesting what he said about Akeem and that, you know, some put him in the same category as Jordan. He was incredibly special. And the Dream Shake, the turnaround on the baseline, you couldn't guard it. You just couldn't stop it. Grant, thanks for talking to Jim Peterson about heart health. So important, Grant. Lost my dad to a heart attack when I was 18, and my dad was 43. I love talking about things that have nothing to do with sports when I can, and that was one of the things I love doing about my podcast, when we can have in-depth interviews where you don't have to break for commercials. And Jim went into great detail about that day with his chest pain on a game day and calling the team doctor, and the team doctor telling him, don't you dare drive to the hospital. You call 911 right now. And that probably saved his life. And now whenever, you know, he has any abnormalities that he's feeling in his chest, he doesn't even think twice about it. And quadruple bypass and everything else. So listen, after being around, and one of my, and again, I'm not kidding, in the last 2 weeks, those two things have happened to people that I know and knew. And then being around Scott Pollard and seeing what he dealt with. I never forget meeting Scott. First time he was with Sacramento, and we got to be friends. And when I got to know about his family, and he talked about his dad and talked about other male members of his family, and that this would be something that would be an issue in his life. And we were talking about this for years leading up to his heart transplant. And he was very candid with me. He said, man, the only way I can make it is I'm going to have a heart transplant from a pig. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, they're experimenting with hearts from pigs and humans now. He said, because it's going to be near impossible to find a heart for me because it will be too small. And Scott got unbelievably lucky that the individual that had a tragic ending to his life, Casey Angel, was a big man, and his heart happened to be a perfect match for Scott. I mean, that was very unlikely that that was going to happen. So there were a lot of factors that went into it, but Jim hit on it. I mean, a lot of heart disease, not all of it, is hereditary. But we also know that there are certain things we can do with our diet and exercise, no smoking. I mean, there are certain things you can do to increase your odds, right? But so, yeah, and I've been very open about this because life experiences is something that we should all talk about. And being in the intensive care room with Scott 18 hours after he received his new heart was one of the most impactful, powerful mornings that I've ever had in my life. It's really difficult for me to put it into words, and I'm a broadcaster and I'm supposed to not have trouble putting things into words, but I can't quite and adequately explain to you the emotions of that morning at Vanderbilt University Hospital in Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, it's incredible to be sitting there with Scott and his wife, Dawn, and it was just us three, and occasionally a nurse would come in and out. And then when I was there, they actually brought a team in to get Scott off the bed to stand and take 3 steps to sit down in a chair. I mean, it was just like a wow moment. But I'll never be able to portray the feel in that room of the joy and the sorrow all going on at once, because the only reason why Scott was alive with a new heart is because somebody had to die. And we were all praying for an individual that was not known to them. And you just had to understand that the joy that you were feeling to wake up and know that the surgery went well, and yet somewhere around the country, there was a family grieving over the loss of their loved one. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you the emotions in that room that morning. And when Jim came on and talked to me about heart disease and talked about what he experienced, and then just in the last 2 weeks, having one friend, we were not great friends. We were a casual friend, but I knew him. He knew me. I mean, he died, had a heart attack suddenly, didn't show up for work. He was a teacher and was found at his home dead, heart attack. And then another individual who's in intensive care right now, still recovering from his quadruple bypass. So, yeah, listen, don't ignore warning signs. If your body's talking to you, listen to your body. What's the worst thing that can happen, right? You go to the hospital and they say, hey, you're fine. You're not having a heart attack. Okay, great. But what if you're wrong? What if you're stubborn? What if you say, yeah, I'm fine, and you're not fine, and your family's grieving over you a couple of days later at your funeral? So think about that. All right. Thanks to Jim Peterson. Love the man. He's a treasure, just a treasure. We'll come back. We'll open up the phone lines at 916-779-0929 right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic. We are working a couple of new problems around town. Accident off to the shoulder of the on-ramp from Fulton Avenue to the Cap City Freeway westbound. Give yourself a couple of extra minutes to work your way through that on-ramp as well. We got a problem being reported at I-80 and the I-5 interchange. Give yourself a couple of extra minutes to work your way through that intersection as officials are en route to that scene. And we got some normal rush hour delays throughout all of Sacramento. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Traffic brought to you by Gabroods Electrical. Homeowners, for any electrical project you need done, trust the good dudes at Gabroods. Locally owned, 5-star service experts, and always transparent prices and solutions. Say goodbye to your electrical issues with Gabroods. GUBRUDS.com.
Cameron, I just think we need to, see other people.
Are you trading me in?
No. A trade-in is what I'm getting from Kitchen Mart.
A trade-in?
Right now, Kitchen Mart's offering a $750 credit when you trade in your old kitchen countertops for something worth showing off, like granite, marble, or solid surface.
I'm not worth showing off?
Not like the stunning new quartz countertops Kitchen Mart just installed for Karen and Tom. Durable, easy cleanup, made their kitchen look brand new. And Kitchen Mart gave them a $750 trade-in credit to haul off their ugly old tile and grout countertop.
You're dumping me.
That's harsh. You want me to wait till I get the new countertops from Kitchen Mart?
At least hold off till Wednesday. I'm seeing Susan.
Susan!
Now's the perfect time to trade up to beautiful new quartz, granite, marble, or solid surface countertops. Because for a limited time, Kitchen Mart's offering a $750 trade-in credit for your old countertops. Go to kitchenmart.com today and schedule a free in-home consultation and save $750 off new countertops.
No one does it better than
kitchenmart.com.
At Downtown Ford Sacramento, we're proud of our long heritage. We've consistently provided Ford cars and trucks to families and businesses in this region for over 100 years. If we think about it, practically every kid who grew up in this town at one time or another rode around in a Ford that we sold to their family. We've served multiple generations of local farmers and ranchers who got their rugged Ford trucks from us. We've also provided many of the emergency vehicles that you see out doing the people's work every day on the streets. All of us at Downtown Ford, from our top-notch service department who keep your Ford running like new, to our dedicated finance team and the guys and gals in our showroom, we thank you for generations of love and loyalty to us. And for that love, we say right back at you. We're doing Fords just like we always have. Come see us any day of the week or visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
My thanks to Jim Peterson. Talk about Thanksgiving week and what we're thankful for. I'm thankful that I've got people like Jim Peterson in my life who just a real deal. I've been so blessed to meet so many great people along the way. Former players that are such a big part of my life. Jim's the type of guy that if I really needed something, I could call Jim and say, Jim, man, I really need some help here. And he would go, what can I do for you? It wouldn't be like, what's wrong? It would be, what can I do for you? That's the type of guy he is. And again, as he said, we met in 1988 when he was with Sacramento, and just a phenomenal person. Phenomenal person. Again, if you want to call the show, 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. And we'll be doing a lot of that this year, having on the other team's broadcasters. I had Steve Holman on from the Atlanta Hawks, who, 40 years now, just a phenomenal person, and others along the way. So that's something we'll be doing quite a lot of this year, to get their perspective on things, both on the court and off the court, because some of these individuals that I'll be interviewing, think about Steve Holman. We're talking about his career and being at the Boston Garden and working with Johnny Most, and then talking about, his pants catching on fire while he was announcing a game because of a cigarette. It's pretty amazing. So I hope you enjoyed that, but we'll be doing a lot of that this year. I still have so many contacts around the league, both those that are working and those that are not working. So that's a big part of my life, and I want to be a part of this show as well. 916-779-0929. Again, that's 916-779-0929. If you want to call the show, if you want to text the show, we're talking 49ers, as the 49ers have a game tonight on Monday Night Football at home against Carolina. This is a really big game. This is a really big game for obvious reasons. I went over it in hour number one, but the Niners, if they have any hopes of winning the division, this has got to be a must-win. And Carolina can lose, and they can still win the division. Carolina can lose and still win the division, because that division's got real issues right now, especially when you look at Tampa and they've lost 3 in a row, and you look at, the injury to Baker Mayfield, that division is wide open. Okay? Now, the Bucs did get good news. It's a low-grade shoulder sprain, but they've lost 3 in a row, and they do not feel that Mayfield's injury is serious, and his status coming up for this week is uncertain. All right, let's get to some phone calls here and say hello to Pat calling from Long Island. Hello, Pat. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Grant, how you doing?
Good, Pat. How are you?
Good. I had to share a story with you quick. I was a little under the weather yesterday, and I was out Sunday afternoon, and I came home, and the Giants were winning 17-7, and I was too sick to watch the game, and I said, you know what, maybe I ought to go to bed now, because if I stay up, I'm going to watch the Giants blow the game.
Well, that's been the pattern of this year. It has been the pattern of this year.
Oh, for sure. What's the deal? They seem to fire everybody like once a week or whatever. It's like the grand finale got to be Shane. I mean,
Well, Shane Bowen should have been fired last
Bowen?
year. Shane Bowen should have never been the defensive coordinator in the first place. They gave him a long rope, and they finally cut the rope, and it should have happened a long time ago.
Oh, I agree. And Carl Banks was going nuclear yesterday because Lawrence wasn't in the game the first play in the overtime.
It's unbelievable. I don't understand that. Yep, I read all about that in the New York Post today. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, hey, happy Thanksgiving, Grant.
Same
Always
to you,
good
Pat.
talk to you.
Thank you, buddy. All right, I am told that I have a surprise here on line 2. So, hello, surprise. You're on the Grant Napear show.
It's Rowena. How about them Cowboys?
Rowena. Now, that's not a surprise.
Come on, Grant. I thought they were going to lose. I actually took a nap when they were 21-0. I'm like, oh, good Lord.
I know. That's amazing that they came back and won that game for your 5-5-1 Dallas Cowboys.
How do you think they're going to do this season?
Well, I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs, but you know what? They're hanging around. And it's going to be very interesting to see that game Thursday with Kansas City, because Kansas City, they came from behind. They didn't look good yesterday when they beat the Colts, but they're kind of in survival mode right now because of the losses that they've had. And with Dallas coming up, they have to win this game, because I'm looking at their schedule the rest of the way. They still have to play Denver. They have some easy games against Tennessee and Vegas, and they've got a rematch with the Chargers. This is a huge game coming up for both teams.
Absolutely. But, I love Kansas City, and I also like the Lions. Someone gave me a birthday present with the Dallas Cowboys on the front and the Lions on the back.
Wow. How about that?
I know.
So, well, good for you. It's always good to hear your voice, and I hope you have a great Thanksgiving.
Thanks. Happy turkey to you, and go Cowboys.
Well, you know how I feel about that, and I'm not even going to be rude to you over the holiday season. If it weren't the holidays, I would come at you with a strong retort there, but I can't do it during the holidays, okay?
Be nice to Stanley.
Oh, yeah. Where is Stanley? Get him on the line. Speaking of surprises.
We'll find him. We'll find him between the two of us.
All right. Take care, Rowena.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. She's with Fox 40. I don't know. I think she's still there, but always good to hear familiar voices. Unfortunately, she is a Cowboys fan, and so because of that, I'm not sure how old Rowena is, but she probably has never seen the Cowboys have any success in her life, which is true of most adults, okay? Unless you're like old like me, you would have never seen success with the Dallas Cowboys. One of the perils of rooting for a franchise like that. 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. Let's get back to that game tonight. All right, so you have the 49ers and you have the Carolina Panthers. And when you look at San Francisco at 7-4 and Carolina at 6-5, the problem I have is I don't know who the Carolina Panthers are. I really don't. Like, who are the Carolina Panthers? I don't know what team I'm going to get from week to week with Carolina. I mean, they could win tonight, and I wouldn't even bat an eyelash. They could lose by 30 points tonight. And you know what? I wouldn't even go, wow. Think about this. They lose week 1, 26-10 to Jacksonville. They lose 27-22 to Arizona. They beat Atlanta 30-0. Then the following week, after winning 30-0, they lose 42-13. Then they win 3 in a row. all in low-scoring game or by only field goals. Miami by 3, Dallas by 3. They beat a bad Jets team by 7. Then after the 3-game winning streak, at home, they get annihilated by an inconsistent Bills team 40-9. Then after getting annihilated by the Bills at home, they go to Lambeau and beat the Packers 16-13. So what would you do after beating the Packers and feeling really good? Well, you'd come home and lose to one of the worst teams in football, the Saints, right? That's what they did, 17-7. Then they win in overtime last week. Would they reel? Carolina Panthers, please take a step forward because I have no idea who you are. I really don't. And here's what I do know about Carolina. You might be saying goodbye to them real soon because they have the Niners tonight. Then they have the Rams next week. Then after a bye, they're at New Orleans, who they just lost to, home Tampa, home Seattle, at Tampa. Again, the stupidity of scheduling in the National Football League. How is it that you play a team in your own division twice in the span of 3 weeks? I mean, how absurd is that? It's ridiculous. There's no need for it. Do better, NFL. Do better. You're playing Tampa twice in the final 3 weeks of the season. It's an awful job by the NFL. It really is. Absolutely terrible. Then if you look at San Francisco and where they stand, you know the standings, so I don't have to go over them. But if you look at the 49ers schedule, tonight, Carolina, I think they win. At Cleveland, I think they win. So that gets you to 9 wins bye week. Tennessee, win, 10 wins. At Indianapolis, I don't like your chances there. Home Chicago, I like your chances. Seattle, depending on the importance of that game, which I think will be large, huge game at home. That might be your flex game. That might be moved to Sunday night. Could very well be. Somebody said on the text line, thanks for, again, talking to Jim Peterson, another match, another text. You're welcome. I'm happy to do that. Rowena texted in, and she said, it is Rowena again. I'm old enough. Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irvin, the golden years. Well, good for you. I wasn't sure, Rowena. I wasn't sure. I just wanted to double check. Just wanted to double check. Because that's a long time ago. Long time ago. All right. Don't forget. 49ers, Panthers. What's your take? Niners roll tonight? I think they do. 916-779-0929. Your phone calls, your text messages. Next, right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
It's Laramie the Golden Retriever with Vince Bloom the big guy.
The weather's getting cooler, but at Folsom Lake Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, the deals are hotter than ever.
How do you mean, Vince?
Prices are falling like leaves in every Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram in stock.
During the Black Friday sales event at Folsom Lake Dodge, save over $12 grand net savings off MSRP on 2 new 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4x4s. Net price, just $48,995.
And here's another hot deal.
Take $14,980 net savings off MSRP on a new 2025 Jeep Wrangler 4-door Willys, just $42,495. Run at this net price.
So drive into Folsom Lake Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Now is the time for a deal, right, Laramie?
At Folsom Lake Dodge.
The Folsom Auto Mall and online at FolsomLakeDodge.com.
Ram includes $65.40 dealer discount plus $61.70 and national stackable below MSRP retail cash. Bids SN 7586.55 and SN 7725.32. Wrangler includes $64.60 dealer discount plus $5,500 and bonus national retail loyalty and select inventory cash. Must have FCA vehicle registered in your name for longer than 30 days. In SW 543908. See dealer for details. Expires 12/125.
Hey, it's Grant Napear for Village Financial Group. I have known broker owner Spencer Grimmenstein for 25 years, ever since he began his family-owned business. Whether it's a home equity line of credit or buying or selling a home, Spencer is a very creative financing specialist with access to private money. Check out Village Financial Group at bfgloans.com or call Spencer at 916-805-4868. Be sure and call for the investor special. And if you go to their website, vfgloans.com, you can find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. Folks, Spencer is awesome. Trust me. Again, I've known the guy since 2000. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. Call 916-805-4868.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Welcome to HQ Showgirls, Sacramento's premier adult gentlemen's club. We're the only topless club between Reno and San Francisco serving alcohol, beer, wine, and champagne. All inside over 6,000 square feet of pure excitement. Planning a party or a VIP night? Call our VIP manager now at 916-389-0199 to book your table. Come experience the energy at HQ Showgirls, 851 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento. Open 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Visit hqnightclub.com, where the night begins and never stops.
For nearly all of us, our home is our biggest investment. And just as important as what it looks like on the outside is what is happening on the inside. How long has it been since you had your home's electrical integrity checked? Whether your home is 10 or more years old or even a newer build, the safe rule of thumb is to get the electrical inspected at least every 5 years. At Gabrud's, electrical work is all we do. We're the area's recognized experts. Panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, solar, and more. But home inspections are what we do most often. Whether you have a difficult electrical situation or it's just time to ensure your home and family are safe, call locally owned Gabrud's for our thorough 12-point expert inspection. Gabrud's, serving our Northern California neighbors for more than 30 years. Gabrud's, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabrud's, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabrud's.com.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. At Bennett's, it's all about bold flavors and fresh handcrafted food served with genuine hospitality. Craving prime hand-cut steaks? We've got them. Fresh salmon, halibut, or giant Mexican prawns? We've got those too. At Bennett's, we serve premium seafood and steaks in a relaxed setting. Whether you're joining us for a special night out or a casual bite, we'll treat you like family every time. Find us in Sacramento, Roseville, and Rockland. View our menus and make a reservation at bennettsrestaurants.com.
We welcome you back to the Grant Napear Show, Fox Sports, Sacramento. What'd you think of Jamar Chase's apology, who was suspended this week, cost him $507,000? So you know what happened against Pittsburgh, right? He spitted at defensive back Jalen Ramsey, and he then denied it after the game, okay? So on social media today, like a week after it happened, really, he wrote this: "Please know I am speaking from my heart when I say I take full responsibility for my actions during last Sunday's game at Pittsburgh. What I did was wrong. The circumstances don't matter. My passion for the game is no excuse. There's zero place in our sport or in life for that level of disrespect. I want to personally apologize to everyone within the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. I let my emotions in the moment get the better of me. I can only hope and trust none of it represents who I am, not as a competitor, teammate, or person." Then he said, I want to apologize to my coaches, teammates, blah, 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 for not meeting my own standards as leader of this team. So here's the problem I have with that. It's a week now, okay? It's a week now, and you do it via Instagram, and you end by saying, "Instead of stepping up with calm, class, and leadership, I let you down. My having to sit out yesterday's game makes my actions even more inexcusable. I won't let it happen again." You know what's inexcusable? It's inexcusable that this despicable act happened 8 days ago. That's what's inexcusable. And it took you $8. It took you 8 days to apologize, and you apologize via social media. How about be a man, okay? And the very next day at the Cincinnati Bengals facility, you sit down, you look the members of the media in the eye and your fans and apologize. You want to say it's from the heart? Let me see that it's from the heart. I don't know if it's from the heart. I don't even know if you wrote that apology. I have no idea. Why did it take 8 days for you to write an apology, to make an apology? That is very shallow to me. That means nothing to me. 8 days? Seriously? 8 days? It took you 8 days to decide that you were going to come out on social media and apologize? Really? You kidding me? Like, what kind of world are we living in? You spit in another player's face, then deny it after the game. Okay? And then it takes 8 days to apologize, and you do it from Instagram, and you talk about speaking from the heart. Listen, I don't know Jamar Chase. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But if I saw him in front of a microphone with cameras, then I would know whether it's from the heart or not, because I can look at him while he's speaking. And I would also know that it's him speaking and not somebody that wrote it for him. It's a joke. What's wrong with you want to talk about accountability? There's no accountability there. And you talk about accountability? That's accountability? Seriously? You got to be kidding me. That's accountability? How about this? Again, I want to read the last paragraph. Instead of stepping up with calm class and leadership, I let you down. My having to sit out yesterday's game makes my actions even more inexcusable. I won't let it happen again. What a joke. Seriously. It's unbelievable to me. Rhino, you think he apologized because they lost the game?
Sorry, volume down.
Ryan, do you think that Jamar Chase's apology had anything to do with the outcome of the game?
I think it could be part of it because arguably best player on the field. And
don't you think it's a little shallow 8 days after the fact?
Yeah, it's like Kramer and Newman were doing an investigation and they just got the results. No, and especially this, Grant, it's on one of those lists of inexcusables. Like if we put together a list of inexcusables where you cannot make an excuse for anything, you got to get ahead of that. You got to do it right afterwards. And I don't know a social game, but Instagram seems to be a little bit of a hidden place to put it. I mean,
when you're an adult, and you're spitting in and I'm not condoning it as kids, but I understand it with kids. When you're an adult and you spit on another person's face, there's something really wrong with you. I'm sorry. It just is. It's just unbelievable.
Okay, so do you give any credence to the argument that like these guys are out there basically in that fight or flight mindset?
No. Okay. No.
Some people make that argument.
Well, then why does it rarely happen?
Because it's on one of those lists of inexcusables that you
Thank you.
cannot...
You just hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
It's inexcusable. There's never an excuse for it. That's my point.
Correct. And you...
Right.
Nothing.
There's just never an excuse for it. There's never an excuse for it.
No doubt.
And it's just, to me, of all the things that we talk about on a level of competition, I don't know if there's anything worse than that. Seriously, what's worse than spitting in another person's face? I mean, if you want to just talk about the act itself and the degrading nature of that act, I'm not so sure, other than a racial slur, okay, which I would put right up there. But in a physical act, what could be worse than that?
Hitting somebody from behind.
Yeah, but it's hitting someone from behind is not degrading, in my opinion.
I mean,
spitting in someone's face is just flat out degrading. It opens up adjectives that don't happen when you just hit someone from behind.
No, there's a greater than next to spitting versus hitting somebody from behind. But I mean, when you hit somebody from behind, they're completely not expecting it.
But it's not degrading. I've been hit from behind in sports after the whistle, and it's not degrading.
No, see, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like the hockey. Remember the hockey player?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. When you're skating away, you're defenseless, you're not postured and ready for that. That's what I'm talking about. Then it's well out of
I understand, but
play.
It's not degrading. It's an act of violence, but it's not degrading like spitting in someone's face.
Okay, but would you agree that's on the list? Or a candidate for the list if we were going to put a list?
Well, I mean, that to me is just a blatant cheap shot, which then is you're trying to injure, or there's a greater chance of injuring another player. It's like the foul in the NBA, right? When a player is in the air ahead of you going in for a dunk and you make contact and that player then has no way of defending themselves, that is in the same category as what you're describing. That's just a flat out dirty play.
Yeah. I think spitting probably is at the top of the list.
I think so. I don't know of any act other than a racial slur that would be more degrading than spitting in someone's face. I think a racial slur would be number one, and I think 1B would be spitting in someone's face. What do you think? 916-779-0929. I want to tell you about DAS Mechanical and HVAC, right? Your heating and air. Might be working great today, but that may not be the case next week. And at DAS Mechanical, they are HVAC retrofit and service specialists. So when a problem arises, and I hope it doesn't, make sure you think of DAS Mechanical. And again, if you need it retrofitted, your heating and air conditioning system, if you need service, yes, they do new systems. DAS Mechanical does it all. If you need financing, got good news for you. They have 0% interest available for 18 months and rebates available up to $6,000. Whether you're a homeowner, businesses for commercial maintenance, they do it all. Go to dasmechanical.org. You can schedule everything online and look at all of their 5-star reviews and their numerous best of the best awards. D as in dog, A, S as in Sam, mechanical.org, HVAC retrofit and service specialist. And one more thing, right now, for the rest of this month, you got to hurry. They have a $69 winter maintenance check for you. Only $69. Go to dasmechanical.org. And again, you can schedule everything online. Don't forget Kings tonight. Timberwolves, 7 o'clock. And then we'll be on probably 9:15, 9:30 right after the game. Jerry Reynolds, Ryan, myself over on YouTube and X. And we'll break down that game coming up a little bit in the next hour after Grant's rant. By the way, our NFL picks, I went 3-1. Rhino went 1-3. We are going to have a bonus session coming up Wednesday. So what we're going to do this Wednesday, because there's no show Thursday and Friday. So on Wednesday, we are going to have 2 chances for you to win a $100 gift card from Bennett's. That's right, a $100 gift card from Bennett's available for both the Thursday games, that's a bonus, and the Sunday games. So on Wednesday, Rhino's going to pick his 3 game, or there's actually 4 games. He'll pick 4 and I'll pick the 4. All right. We'll just do them all. And then we'll go and do Sunday and Monday too. Okay. So double picks this week, Rhino. You got to get back on track, buddy.
Yeah, I'm falling behind. I started hot and now I've completely cooled off. You've been Mr. Consistent though.
Been better. I've been better.
Football.
What do you think in football? Give me a question. Give me something to talk about here that you that's on your mind.
Yeah, I have a football question. Let me raise my hand. Do you accept my question?
Yes,
See my hand?
I accept your
Okay.
question.
Perfect. Are you getting a little bit nauseated and anxious about ball carriers that leave their feet? Did you see the hit this weekend in college football where the guy is lucky, in my opinion, to be alive because he landed on his head and then his neck inverted?
So what's your question?
Is that something that might be banned?
No, you can't ban that.
Why can't you ban that?
I mean, why don't you just ban the whole sport then? Seriously, I mean, at what point are we going to? I mean, like, what are you proposing that you're not allowed to do? I guess it would be a better way of me asking you.
If you are the ball carrier,
yes,
and I guess this gets messy with the goal line, but like when you're in open field and you try to hurdle somebody, more times than not, it ends up bad. And I mean,
here's
like,
what I say to
really
that.
bad.
Here's what I say to that. You know what you sign up for when you play football, the same way you know what you sign up for when you get in the cockpit of a car that you're racing that's going to be going over 200 miles per hour. All right. When you get behind the wheel, I call it cockpit if you're in an F1 car, but whatever. You know the risk. You know what you sign up for. You know what you sign up for when you play hockey. You know what you sign up for even when you play baseball, that you can get hit in the face with a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. You can get hit with a line drive. There are just certain things that you sign up for. And to me, there's no way that you can take a player's athleticism and their ability to jump high and tell them that they really can't do that anymore. So no, I'm okay with that. I would hate to see anyone get hurt like you described, but no, I don't think it should be banned from the sport. I just don't, because I think some of the most exciting plays in the history of football have been with, there are many examples, but I think that's one of the most exciting aspects of football.
I get you, and I don't want to take it away. Don't come at me and say I want to neuter football, because I don't. I want to see the product still stay safe and, good for us to watch. But when we talk about situations that might lead to something really bad past DeMar Hamlin, like on the field, I just see that as one of the scenarios that is at play for that.
All right. What do you think of that? 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. Niners, Panthers starting in about 20 minutes. And then, of course, the Kings starting shortly after 7. What do you think of the matchups tonight without Sabonis on this team? Now you're thinner on the front line. You do have Keegan back. This Minnesota team, as Jim said, they blew the game at Phoenix. They've had 2 days off. I would think you're going to get the A version of the Timberwolves tonight.
You probably will. I would agree with you. I like the matchups for the most part if the Kings can play fast. If they can play fast, Doug is doing constant substitutions. That's where I would like to see at least a little bit of an adjustment. Have him coach the first half similar to the way he does in the second half. I feel like the rotation's a little bit slower in the second half, and I think that's what can push the pace and give the Kings an advantage.
All right, we're going to talk a lot about that coming up in the final hour of the show. We also are going to have some more sound from current events that are going on, including what happened with the Cleveland Browns in Vegas yesterday. But coming up next, I am excited to get the week going off on a good note. Grant's Rant, right around the corner. 1 hour left here on a busy Monday. Thanksgiving week. Fox Sports Sacramento.
Sports traffic as we take another look at the roadways, getting reports of an accident on Highway 99 southbound side right at Mack Road. Everything is off to the shoulder, but you got stop and go traffic from US 50 down to that accident scene. So give yourself that extra time to work your way through there. Rush hour delays on I-5, Cap City Freeway, and US 50 in full swing. So give yourself lots of extra time to work your way through those delays. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The Vikings have a J.J. McCarthy problem, and it's getting harder to ignore. Sunday's divisional loss to the Packers didn't just drop the Vikings to 4-7. It crystallized the frustration surrounding a season that was supposed to be transitional. And fair or not, the bulk of that spotlight is landed on McCarthy. He's now made 6 starts, and the numbers read like a caution sign. 929 yards, 6 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and a 54% completion rate. A 2-4 record in those starts only sharpens the edges. There have been flashes, the arm talent, mobility, the occasional drive that reminds you of why he was drafted in round 1, but the inconsistency has become the headline. Normally you preach patience with a young quarterback. Let him grow, let him fail, let him learn. But patience is harder to sell in Minnesota these days, not with Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones having their new teams in a playoff hunt. He still has time, but the runway is shrinking, and Minnesota knows it. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Mako's running a paint sale right now, starting at just $499. How about that? Now, if you've been thinking about maybe doing something with your car, don't pass up this opportunity, okay? There's dents, dings, chip paint. Mako's seen it all. But for this price, take advantage of that, and you could give your ride a fresh look. Free estimate. They'll work with your budget. They'll get the job done fast. No pressure, no judgment. A fresh start and you're going to have a national warranty to accompany it. And they're community-based, great people to work with, somebody you can trust to make your car look nice. A fresh ride. They've been doing it for over 50 years, and it's easier than ever for you to take advantage of this. Your car could use a little love. Now's the time. But don't wait. These paint sales will not last long. Visit Maaco, that's MAACO.com, and find the nearest location. Schedule that free estimate. And with the paint sale starting at just $499, your car is going to look awesome.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Grant's back. Join the conversation every weekday afternoon beginning at 3 p.m. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
It's time for Grant.
Yeah, let's do it, Rhino. What do you have for me? Serve it up for me.
Grant Shedeur Sanders got his first win as an NFL quarterback, but did not look nearly as good behind the mic.
Man, it's crazy. It's amazing, off of 1 week of practice, you know what I mean? This 1 week of practice. So imagine, what a full offseason look like. It get dangerous, but it's just a 1 week of practice. So I'm just truly thankful, that everything happened.
Now, I don't like the quote-unquote media quarterback talk, but you got to tighten that up a little bit if you are Mr. Sanders. Second option in your hometown, your backyard, the New York Giants, Malik Neighbors put up a tweet and then took it down very quickly. Of course, whatever goes on the internet stays in ink. The tweet read, "Sometimes I think they be making us lose on purpose because it's no way, bro. You throw me the ball instead of running it to make them burn 2 timeouts. Then you don't kick a field goal. Then they have to go down and score. Football, common sense. Am I missing something?" That's your second option. Third option is because it's Thanksgiving week, they always say not too many cooks in the kitchen, and there's a general rule that if you're not cooking, you should probably stay away from there. But, when the turkey comes out of the oven or out of the fryer or however you're cooking it, people start to hover. And when you're carving that turkey, there are chef cuts that belong to the people that cooked that meal. Do not come around when the turkey comes out and try to get those cuts. Those are reserved for those that are cooking. Napes, all
right. I'm going to take 1 and 2 because to me it's in the same level. It's the same sport and it's the same issues that I have. There's generally a right way of doing things and a wrong way of doing things. Now, I don't expect everyone to be the same. Okay, we'd have a real boring world if everybody was the same. So let's start with Shedeur Sanders. So the Cleveland Browns beat a pitiful, horrible team in the Raiders. And Shedeur Sanders got his first NFL start. And congratulations to him for getting the win. There was some good, there was some bad. He's already been named the starting quarterback coming up this week at home against San Francisco. But his comments after the game show why he slid to the 5th round and show why it's taken until November to really get onto the football field as a starting quarterback. It's just not something that you want as an organization. You don't want your quarterback saying things of that nature, and it just makes him look selfish, beyond egotistical. There's a difference between being confident and bragging and just like saying stupid things. And to me, that's in the latter. And that's why I have real reservations about whether Sanders can really handle everything that comes along with being a starting quarterback in the NFL, because it's the one position in sport where you need to have a lot of the boxes checked, okay? And I'm not so sure that the boxes along his name as NFL quarterback are going to have enough check marks in it for me. Now, if they were to keep winning, you know how it goes. They probably don't care what he says. But really, that's what you have to say after winning your first NFL game? How about I'm really grateful for the opportunity. I've been working hard. I'm really proud of my teammates. I'm proud of the coaching staff to prepare me to play this way. And let's see what happens the rest of the way. But I'm really excited. I just want to, compliment and thank my teammates for allowing me to go out and play the way we did today. How about that? That's what I want from my quarterback. All right. Now, as far as Malik Neighbors, what is the deal with receivers in the National Football League? Seriously, what is the deal with Malik Neighbors? So Malik did not understand why the Giants went for it on 4th and goal instead of kicking a field goal to put the team up by 6. Malik, have you not watched your team play? Did you not watch your defense allow the Dallas Cowboys to go on a kickoff to field goal range in 24 seconds? Did you not watch the defense allow the Denver Broncos to do the same thing en route to stealing that game? Did you not watch your defense blow the game last week against the Green Bay Packers? The reason why Mike Kafka decided to go for it on 4th down is because he understands that his defense is pathetic and that the Detroit Lions, even if they were down by 6, would in all likelihood move the ball right down the field and score a touchdown. So what happened? He went for it. And what did the Lions do deep in their own territory? They moved the ball right down the field, got in the field goal range, tied the game, and then won it in overtime. Malik, I've got a little advice for you. Shut up. All right? You're not playing. Work on your rehab. Pipe down. Okay? Stop talking. Get back onto the field. Zip it. That's my word for both of those guys. Zip it. Not good. Not good at all. And that's my rant for today. From the 631, hey, neighbors, keep it to yourself. It's embarrassing. It really is. It's absolutely embarrassing. It's calling out the entire coaching staff. By the way, Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator of the Giants, was fired today. Should have happened last year, in my opinion. Should have happened after the Dallas game, in my opinion. If not after the Denver game. If not after last week's game. I mean, I didn't understand how he retained his job. And in my opinion, had Brian Dable made a switch, he'd still be coaching the New York Giants because they probably have at least three more wins. So it probably cost Brian Dable his job. But what's the deal with the receivers? Seriously, they just can't keep quiet, whether they're playing or whether they're not playing. They just can't keep quiet. They're always yapping. They're always creating some type of controversy. They're always want to be in the limelight. They're just never, whether it's A.J. Brown, right? Whether it was Randy Moss, Terrell Owens. I mean, we can go on and talk about, many, many tremendous wide receivers. Do they ever seem happy? Seriously, do they ever seem happy? They don't ever seem happy to me. There's always something going on. Oh, I didn't get the ball enough. Oh, you know what? Our offense can't get me the ball. I'm out there. I'm open. They're not throwing me the ball. I mean, I had to deal with it with Odell Beckham and so many others that have played for the New York Giants. It's incredible to me. It just is. All right, if you want to call the show, 916-779-0929. So happy to have you here on this Monday as we get you right into Thanksgiving. Why don't we get to Iman in Orange County? Welcome to the show. How are you?
Grant, how are you, sir?
I'm good, buddy. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for being back on the show, back on the program, and keeping Sacramento engaged with great sports talk, number one. Number two, I had a Kings question and kind of a sports media related question related to that. I want to focus on the future because the game with the Nuggets was pretty encouraging with the win. But back to the De'Aaron Fox trade. Before the trade occurred, ESPN came up with the reports how Fox wanted a trade and how his wife's from San Antonio. A sports question, media question I have is how much accuracy is related to that type of reporting? First of all, and meaning, do some of these kind of really, namely ESPN, do they just kind of come up with their own story because they want to see Fox on the Spurs, and they just kind of come up with?
Well, his
like,
wife
kind
didn't
of
want to go to
rumblings
San
of-
Antonio. His wife wanted to go to Houston, so she didn't get her wish. That's number one. The reality is that I think that most observers felt that Fox wanted to get out, and Rich Paul, all right, is on record, okay, that he told Fox and the Spurs that this, it was really orchestrated by Rich Paul, but Fox never once said, I don't want to go. He never, I mean, there was a lot to it, but Rich Paul had a lot to do with this, the agent.
Yeah, it's just so disappointing. I mean, there's only really one Kobe Bryant or 0.1% of these players who actually stay loyal to wanting to stay in the same team. It would have just been, I mean, it's just disheartening, especially because, he goes to the Spurs, and I heard he wanted to play with Popovich. Popovich is not even there, and he's carrying the load without Wemby half the time, it seems. So
Well, just understand the Kings didn't have to trade him. They didn't have a gun to their head. They didn't have to trade him if they didn't want to. They could have kept him, and they could have waited until the offseason where they probably would have gotten a much better deal than they did get from San Antonio.
No, absolutely. And I mean, and the GM ended up getting fired anyway. So it's like the worst of all worlds. But, there's this kid I've been just two kind of proposition trade kind of scenarios. There's this kid on the Suns who I saw play last preseason in Palm Springs, and this kid Colin Gillespie, I feel like completely underrated.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Kings don't really need what's their need out of 1 to 10 as far as a point guard is concerned?
Well, based on how disappointing Dennis Schroeder has been and the fact that he's 32 and that Westbrook is a short-term solution, I still think it's a top priority for this team. Like, I think it's a number one priority.
Yeah, and I don't know if the GM listens to the show. I'm sure he does, but that kid on the Suns is like lights out. Like, he plays like 15 minutes, like 30 minutes to score like 18 points a game. I feel like he's going to be a big
So why would the Phoenix Suns want to get rid of him?
Well, I don't feel like he's getting enough minutes. I mean, he just hit a game winner the other day. Maybe they're finally going to probably realize how valuable he is. But it's a good point. I mean, one other trade question I had was related to Ball on the Hornets. What's the likelihood that how valuable do you think he would be? I know they don't win, but he just scores a lot of points when he's healthy. Like,
he's been talking a lot about that recently, and he said that the narratives out there are false, that I asked to be traded or didn't want to be here. That's a really tough situation because they have been bad for so long. That is a college basketball town. The NBA does not work there in Charlotte, and I don't think he would be alone in wanting to get out of Dodge. We'll see. Again, I don't really like talking about trade rumors because you never know what's happening behind the scenes. Here's what I do know, and I think you would agree. The Kings are an old team. They're a team that is constructed very poorly, and it's a team that has to make a variety of moves to become a perennial playoff team. That much I think we could agree on.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one other point I was going to make was I met Tim Legler in the airport recently, and, this is total hypothetical, but, I think he'd be a phenomenal coach. And I even told him, I said, you need to get off the broadcast booth and
who's this?
Highly consider it. What are your thoughts on that? Just kind of hypothetical.
I didn't hear the name. Which individual would be a good head coach?
Tim Legler. I think Tim Legler would be he'd be a good coach.
I got to tell you, I'm not in the fan club of taking somebody that's never coached and make him into a head coach. I know there have been examples where it's worked, but more times than not, I don't want that. I don't want to take an individual from the broadcast booth and put them into a head coaching role without being an assistant coach. I think some of the things you can learn as an assistant coach are invaluable. And with that being said, I'm a huge Tim Legler fan. I've always liked Legs. By the way, I think he's a great addition on the number one team. That's much better than it was last year. And personally, I think it should just be him and Mike Breen. I don't think you need a three-man booth. But I like Legs. I've talked to him a number of times. I have great respect for him. But just because you're really good on the air as a broadcaster doesn't mean you're going to be a good head coach.
Yeah, and last point is, what's the likelihood Doug Christie's going to continue the coach, being the coach of the rest of the season?
For the rest of the season, I would say it's probably 50-50. I mean, if things were to continue to be ugly, ugly, ugly like they have been for the last 3 weeks, I don't see how you could keep him. But the problem with that is, who are you going to put in there that, number one, wants the job? Because nobody wants this job right now. And number two, like, is it going to really make a difference? So I could just see them going through this the trenches of this season, getting through this season, and then hire a new head coach after this year.
Actually, my last point is I actually tweeted to you other day, and you hit like on the tweet. I don't know if you saw that, but this is the lowest I think I've seen the Kings I can remember. I think I wrote on in the 90s, at least we had Mitch Richmond.
Yep.
We had just like a couple of pieces even before that, before even the trade for Weber. Would you say this is the lowest that you remember the Kings since your time in Sacramento?
No.
Besides when they were losing 40-4 against the Lakers in the 80s, whenever that was. How does this rank? And I'll take this question out there. How does this pitifulness, that's even a word, rank now in your how would you rank? Yeah,
Okay.
where they're at in that regard. Thanks,
with that said, you have a happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate you. I think this is the worst situation that I can ever remember before Thanksgiving. I don't ever recall things being this bad before we even got to Thanksgiving. With that being said, the Dick Motta year was pretty bad, where the Kings lost 40 out of 41 road games and went on a East Coast trip and played the expansion Miami, Orlando, and Charlotte and got embarrassed in all 3 games. That was pretty bad. This says a lot here on this text message. 209 area code. Everything you hear from this team does not match what you see on the court. Both Scott and Doug talk one thing, but then you don't see that on the court. Total PR interview. Well, it wasn't a PR interview from Sam's perspective, from The Athletic. He asked the right questions, and Scott has to answer the questions, and obviously he's going to try to put everything in a positive light. But I've always been one that uses my eyes to tell me what's really going on. And what's really going on with the Sacramento Kings is you have many unhappy players. You have players that don't want to be there. Zach LaVine doesn't want to be there. DeMar DeRozan doesn't want to be there. You have young players that aren't playing enough or playing at all in some instances, which makes no sense. Even Scott Perry acknowledged what this season is about and the amount of work that it's going to require, and that it's going to take a while, and that fans need to understand that. So, like, at what point are they going to flip the switch and start doing what's right for the future of this franchise? I haven't seen that yet. So, to answer your question, I think Doug, in all likelihood, unless things are more like the Atlanta game or the game at Memphis, where you just have to do something because you can't let that continue. If that is more of the trend than not, then you have to make a change. But if they just kind of get through the process, then it probably makes more sense to make a move at the end of the season. I do not think Doug will be the coach after this year. Again, I go back to Scott Perry didn't hire Doug. He wants his own people in there. And I think that's probably more likely than unlikely to happen. All right, we'll come back. We'll continue this 916-779-0929, the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic still working a couple of problems out there that you need to be aware of. 99 southbound at Mack Road. That accident is off to the shoulder. It is still causing a pretty big slowdown, pretty much back up to the US 50 interchange. Give yourself that extra time. Cap City Freeway eastbound at E Street. Still got that left lane blocked off with an accident. You got stopped traffic to the US 50 interchange. So give yourself that extra time through there. And I-5 extremely busy in between top of the town freeway and US 50. I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
It's Laramie the Golden Retriever with Vince Bloom the Big Guy.
The weather's getting cooler, but at Folsom Lake Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, the deals are hotter than ever.
How do you mean, Vince?
Prices are falling like leaves on every Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram in stock.
During the Black Friday sales event at Folsom Lake Dodge, save over $12 grand net savings off MSRP on 2 new 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4x4s. Net price, just $48,995.
And here's another hot deal.
Take $14,980 net savings off MSRP on a new 2025 Jeep Wrangler 4-door Willys, just $42,495. One at this net price.
So drive into Folsom Lake Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Now is the time for a deal, right, Laramie?
At Folsom Lake Dodge.
To the Folsom Auto Mall and online at folsomlakedodge.com.
Ram includes 6540 dealer discount plus 6170 and national stackable below MSRP retail cash. Ends SN 758655 and SN 772532. Wrangler includes 6460 dealer discount plus 5500 and bonus national retail loyalty and select inventory cash. Must have FCA vehicle registered in your name for longer than 30 days. In SW 543908, see dealer for details. Expires 12/125.
Brad Gazan, on Atlanta United, we know everyone has a ritual, a habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance. Well, what do you do to keep your head in the game? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body. It's about taking care of your mind and mental health. Discover the resources you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Find resources at georgia.loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute, the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, and the Ad Council.
Kings tonight, Timberwolves, 7 o'clock. Post-game show, YouTube and X. Jerry, Rhino, myself. Looking forward to that. See if the Kings can put together another good performance against a Minnesota team that's healthy and is coming off a very difficult loss and are well-rested, whereas the Kings are first game back. Rhino, we talked so much about the first quarter, and that concerns me tonight.
Yeah, you've got to have a good start for this team. There is no doubt about that. We've seen 2 games in a row, though, where they have had decent starts, so feeling okay about that.
Yeah, you usually don't have a good start after a long road trip. That has been the history with a lot of NBA teams, particularly this team. So tonight, I think Minnesota is going to come out of the gate with a lot of fire after the way they lost that game in Phoenix.
Yeah, they're out of the gate doesn't scare me, though, unless it involves playing down low and trying to play with Gobert. I think they give you a chance, especially if they're settling for the threes, to settle in a little bit.
Okay. Here's one of my biggest keys for the game tonight. My first key is Keegan Murray cannot get into foul trouble.
Okay.
That's number one. I think that he has to be on the floor and his defensive presence has to be a factor. And I think that, foul trouble would be the worst thing for him. Number 2, Zach LaVine has got to score tonight. Okay, Zach LaVine has to be active. Zach LaVine needs to be the Zach LaVine that we saw in October and the first week or first 10 days of this month.
Completely with you. And I think that's incumbent as well on Doug Christie. Make sure you get him some looks. We've seen out of the gate where he gets Sabonis involved. We've seen that over the last 5-6 games before Sabonis went down. Do the same for Zach LaVine tonight.
So those are 2 of my keys. As far as the third, we always talk assist turnovers, right?
Yeah.
And I like the way the ball was moving against Denver, looking for, one another against this team. I mean, that is something. You made a great point on the postgame show the other night. I did not like the final 2 minutes of that game against Denver with the ISO ball and the zero offense, because I think if the Kings are going to win this game tonight, it's going to be a close game. It's not going to be, they're not blowing out Minnesota. They're just not in all likelihood. And so if they're going to win, it's going to be a game that's close with 5 minutes left. Their offense has got to be better. It just has to be better.
Yeah, and the Kings are actually 2-0 in games decided by 2 points or less. So take that for what it's worth. I'm with you. I don't want to see Doug Christie just because, and Grant, maybe this is a Doug Christie thing. Maybe it's an NBA thing out of respect for your vets. But if somebody else has it going, that doesn't mean you always need to utilize whoever's considered your best closer, especially when they don't have it going.
Lots to talk about, folks. A lot to talk about.
So I'll feed you a couple of keys really quick. One of mine is with you. It's about turnovers. I think the Kings need to have less turnovers than the Timberwolves. When the Kings have had less turnovers than their opponents, they've won all 4 games. How about that? The other one that I'm going to say, and you hit on it too, Zach LaVine needs to have a big night. You need to have a second person with a big night. The Kings have won all 4 games that they have won when they have 2 players with 20 or plus more points. And this is the difficult one. They got to win the points in the paint. They did that in Denver. No reason you can't do that against Minnesota.
916-779-0929 if you want to get in on the program. That's 916-779-0929 as the 49ers and the Panthers, their game is underway. We'll keep you up to date on that. This is a busy night in the association, a lot of games. And for the Kings coming up, the next game is Phoenix. And we heard from Jim Peterson in the last hour. I agree with Jim on what he said. And can you imagine if Phoenix is able to stay healthy and they get Jalen Green back and he can be effective, that's not going to be a team you want to reckon with, the Phoenix Suns.
No. And you saw last year at times some of the pieces that could or couldn't work. The last caller mentioned Colin Gillespie. He's a guy that worked his way through the two-way system, and because of how bad they were last year, he got minutes. And now
you've talked a lot about him.
I have. I joke. He's turning into the West Coast TJ McConnell, and he's on a very valuable contract, and he does many of the same things that TJ does, and that's really important for a switch-off with Devin Booker, right? Because you can get him involved, but also you can score.
We talked about this with Jerry Reynolds, and you mentioned this. Isn't it incredible to see Davion Mitchell playing so well for the Miami Heat, and the fact that he was in Sacramento? We always talk about giving up on guards too soon. The difference between the first-round pick Davion Mitchell and the first-round pick Devin Carter is Carter was injured for his first year and didn't get back onto the court until January with no camp. So I look at last year as a wash.
Yeah.
Is it possible that we're going to be seeing Devin Carter in 2 years from now helping out another team other than the Sacramento Kings and say to ourselves, man, why did they not utilize him more, or why didn't they utilize him into a player that could help out this franchise?
See, I think it would be the back end, and I do think it's possible. Davion came from a college, Baylor. The offense was very, very structured. The Kings, the 2 or 3 beam team years, were anything but structured. So it was uphill for him. And now where does he go, Grant? Miami, which is structured. And they're
after being in Toronto.
After being in Toronto, where, yes, for a cup of coffee, more or less.
Yes, a cup of coffee. Yep.
But he goes to Miami, and they're structured. The coach wants them to play all 48, and they do, for the most part, play all 48. Look at their minutes. But as for Devin Carter, it's not going to be in a point guard role. It's going to be playing towards his strengths, and quite frankly, his strengths are many of the things that most teams are looking for. A guy that's got long wingspan, a guy that can crash the boards at 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", a guy that can defend. And he's only going to grow as a player. So, yeah, it's just the Kings sometimes don't utilize people in their strengths.
Scores in the NBA, the Pistons are leading the Pacers 71-55. Detroit trying to go to 15-2. They are 6-1 on the road. Unbelievable. The Raptors at home, they are also off to a great start at 12-5. They lead Cleveland in the third, early going. The score there is 63-56. The Knicks are in Brooklyn. They lead 39-31. The Heat are at home against Dallas. They got Tyler Hero back, and they are on top 37-32. Elsewhere, the Nuggets and Grizzlies are in the first quarter in Memphis, a 1-point lead early for Denver. Portland is in Milwaukee. They have a 24-16 lead with 9 minutes played in that first quarter. Pelicans home to the Bulls. They're up by 2 early. Coming up a little bit later, Rockets are in Phoenix to take on the Suns and the Jazz and the Warriors. So that is your NBA scoreboard and schedule. And, of course, the Kings in action tonight as they will take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. 49ers are able to get the opening kickoff and go down and have a sustained drive. And they lead early in that football game by the score of 7-0 past the halfway point in quarter number 1. So we got a lot going on here. We welcome your phone calls if you want to get on. So 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929 right here on the Grant Napear Show. And we have a busy rest of the evening because Ryan's going to be heading to the arena. He'll be taking in the game and getting a pulse of what's going on with the Sacramento Kings. And then he'll join us on the postgame show on YouTube and X to break down the Kings and the Timberwolves. What do you think wins the game tonight? How many points do you think wins against these Timberwolves?
125.
I was going to say 122. Yeah, you're probably right.
I was going to initially say 123. That's funny. So I wrapped it up.
One thing about Minnesota, you have to be aware that they have a genuine, a realistic shot blocker. And sometimes the Kings are not very smart when they try to attack Rudy Gobert. You have to be aware of what he does on the floor.
You know what, Grant? You just knocked it out of the park because it doesn't only happen when there's a shot blocker on the floor. Watch for it tonight, and hopefully we don't see a lot of it because that means the Kings are playing well. But guys are passing up really good looks to the tune of you can hear a teammate yelling, shoot that, and getting worse looks or trying to pass in a phone booth. And that's what I think, too, has made the offense at times clunky. Just go with your inclination. Shoot the ball.
I'm very curious to see what the crowd's going to be tonight for a couple of reasons. Number one, the Kings have stunk. They've been bad at home. The Niners are playing, but it is holiday week, and it's the holidays. And generally, my experience is that, you get the kids coming home from college, you get the family together for Thanksgiving, and part of the deal is let's go to a game, right? And if you already have your tickets, you're going to just not go. So I want to see what the crowd looks like tonight, and I want to see what the crowd looks like on Wednesday against Phoenix.
This crowd this season has not been hesitant to push back. And
can you blame them?
No. And I think you have to play that into your game plan to a degree if you're Doug Christie and expect it if this team's not playing well. But conversely, with, as you said, the holiday people in town, it's a fresh set of eyes on this team in person. They're going to be excited. They want to see them. And I actually think the Kings will come out and play well tonight because you have Keegan Murray back.
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical about playing well at home. They haven't shown me that they can play well at home enough, and they're coming off a long road trip. They've been away for a long time. They only had one day to get ready for this game. Minnesota's coming off a loss, and so I'm a little skeptical about the Kings playing well tonight. I don't think they're going to give up 144 like they did 2 weeks ago to Minnesota, but I'm a little skeptical.
Doug Christie, again, the last couple games has played 10. Within the first quarter. So I think that helps your chances because he's finding a combination, or if the starters are not getting it done right off the bat, he's not shy to bring in some of the bench guys. So I think that helps. But yeah, those are all things that are tough to deal with when you're just getting back.
The worst thing that could happen to the Kings coming off a Denver win is to not be competitive tonight. That would be the worst thing. Win or lose.
Spot on. Great point.
Win or lose, I want to see this team compete tonight. I want to see them look like they want to play basketball. I saw that against Denver. Even though it was a scheduled game, I still saw it. I mean, it didn't take away from what the Kings did. I want to see that tonight.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Over, under a combined 22 minutes for Neek Clifford and Keon Ellis.
I'm going to say under.
Even with Ant?
I'm going to say under.
Under? Okay.
What do you think?
I'm going to go over tonight. This, to me, is a night that you have to play Keon Ellis. And you saw that last game against Minnesota. He didn't come in until the fourth quarter.
Exactly. And that's the game they gave up 144, and the game was over by the time the fourth quarter began.
Right. So I think he will get more. Neek probably will be around that 9-minute mark. Doug Christie has somehow landed because it feels like every postgame we do, we look up and it's like, oh, 9 minutes.
What about Neek Clifford?
I think he'll be right around that 9-minute mark. How about you?
Yeah, I want to see him start playing in the teens and get up to the 20 plus. I mean, I think that's where everyone wants him to be. I wonder what the reluctance is of playing him.
I think it's the shooting. The defense, think about this. If I think back to what he's done defensively, I've seen some things I didn't think I was going to see this early into a season where he has guarded some bona fide stars for a possession or two and guarded them well, but he's just not been shooting the ball at a high level. He's athletic as heck. You saw him jump almost from the free throw line and change hands on a layup.
Yes.
Last game in Denver. But I think it's the shooting. And I can tell you this, he has been putting in a lot of time in the gym. Every time I'm at practice, he is on his own basket shooting tons of corner and wing threes.
That's the way it needs to be. Hey, I want to talk to you about Village Financial Group. And whether it's a home equity line of credit, buying a home, selling a home, take advantage of these rates. And call Spence or text Spence, someone I've known for 25 years. That's right, Spencer Grimmenstein with Village Financial Group. Again, he began his business back around 2000. Family-owned business, Village Financial Group. Call or text him at 916-805-4868. Again, buying, selling, home equity line of credit, anything to do with your real estate needs. Spence is incredibly experienced. He's a finance specialist. He's really good at this, and he has access to private money. Again, call or text Spence at 916-805-4868. Be sure and ask for the investor special. And if you go online at vfgloans.com, that's vfgloans.com, you'll find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. It makes sense to call Spence, 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. We'll wrap up the show. Final segment on a busy Monday on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic as we take one final look at the roadways. Officials remain on scene of that earlier accident, 99 southbound at Mack Road. Everything is off to the shoulder, but you still got stop-and-go traffic from US 50 down to that scene, adding an additional 20 to 25 minutes of drive time. I-5 northbound, southbound in between top of the town freeway and US 50 also very sluggish with rush hour delays, as well as Cap City Freeway. With Choice and Hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant use disorder. Complex family dynamics, financial strain, and cultural expectations can weigh heavily and become a tipping point for those battling the physical and mental effects of addiction. But the holidays can also be a time for pause, reflection, opportunity, and new beginnings. They're a chance to take stock of what we have and are thankful for, to remember what's most important to us, and to consider what we can change. The holidays are a time of hope. So this holiday season, choose treatment and recovery. Embrace the support and company of family and friends, and create special moments. Get started by finding a proven opioid or stimulant addiction treatment provider near you at choosechangeca.org. Find a proven treatment option that's right for you. Recover you at choosechangeca.org. That's choosechangeca.org.
At Downtown Ford Sacramento, we're proud of our long heritage. We've consistently provided Ford cars and trucks to families and businesses in this region for over 100 years. If we think about it, practically every kid who grew up in this town at one time or another rode around in a Ford that we sold to their family. We've served multiple generations of local farmers and ranchers who got their rugged Ford trucks from us. We've also provided many of the emergency vehicles that you see out doing the people's work every day on the streets. All of us at Downtown Ford, from our top-notch service department who keep your Ford running like new, to our dedicated finance team and the guys and gals in our showroom, we thank you for generations of love and loyalty to us. And for that love, we say right back at you. We're doing Fords just like we always have. Come see us any day of the week or visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
Remember, always be generous with the nutmeg. Just eyeball it.
Okay.
Mom's wisdom has served you well, but now it may be your turn to guide her.
Hey, I'm worried about Mom. She keeps forgetting her famous sweet potato pie recipe.
Some things come with age, sis.
And some don't.
Knowing the early signs of Alzheimer's in a loved one will help you make the best decisions for your family. Visit 10signs.org to learn the signs. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Final segment. Get you right up till 6 o'clock. Remember, if you missed hour number 1, we'll replay it coming up at 6 o'clock. The Niners on top 7-0, but they've just turned the ball over. Christian McCaffrey on an opening drive had 9 touches against the franchise that he used to play for in the Carolina Panthers. Rhino?
Yeah, Grant, I was thinking about your rant and how those players handled a difficult situation, right? At least to them, or after a game. But at the beginning of the show, we were talking about Klay Thompson and the situation with Ja Morant. And the more I think about it, he could not have handled that as more of a professional, because he said what needed to be said, but then also he kind of lifted him up as well.
Yeah, it's a real classy move by Klay Thompson. If you missed what he had to say, here it is now after the game in which Memphis beat Dallas over the weekend.
And then with Ja, he's a funny guy. He has a lot to say all the time, especially for a guy who rarely takes accountability. But you know what? That's for another day.
What did Ja have to say on this occasion?
Nothing of intelligent depth. It was really just his just running his mouth, and he's been running his mouth for a long time. And it's funny to run your mouth when you're on the bench. It's kind of the story of his career so far, just leaving us wanting more. You know, we all want to see him out there and do his best, but he's just been letting a lot of other stuff get in the way of that. And we need that in the NBA. We need our best players to be out there. And when you're a star, it comes with a great responsibility. And I hate to see that go to waste.
What a classy job by Klay Thompson, who could have just completely destroyed him. And that is about as balanced of an answer that you'll get, Rhino, from a professional athlete.
There's no doubt about it. He almost spent 30 seconds on the dot ripping Ja apart, and there was so much left on that bone, but then he uses 25 to build him back up and remind him how important he can still be to this league.
Incredible move by a veteran.
Granted, somebody that wants to leave this league better than they found it.
That's very true. Klay Thompson. I always just associate Thompson with class. And he's had a heck of a career. He's on the very, very backside of the mountain. But, yeah, spot on about Morant. Because the one thing you really can't deny about Morant, he does have a lot of talent. And you can't. That's not really debatable. Maybe, as Jerry said, it's diminished a little bit because of injuries the last few years, if you look at it. But he's still very talented.
Yeah, and Grant, look at how many opportunities the commissioner's given him. Look at how much opportunity Memphis is still giving him. And if you're just joining us here in hour 3, there was an incredible stat by Frank Isola and Brian Scalabrine earlier today on the starting lineup on NBA radio.
Do you know that since Klay missed those 2 years, Brian, it was the knee first, then it was Achilles, right? So he missed back-to-back seasons.
Knee in the finals.
Yep.
All the way up until the draft. And then the Achilles the day before the draft or on draft day.
Yeah.
So knee 1 year, Achilles the next year, and then he made his way back like a year and a half later.
All right. So since then, Klay Thompson has played more games than Ja Morant.
Oh, my God.
A guy coming off a knee and an Achilles has played more games than that knucklehead who all now he's known for his running his mouth.
How about that? Wow.
Like if I walked up to you and just randomly said, who's played more games in the last couple of years, 3 years, Ja Morant or Klay Thompson? I probably would have bet the house on Ja Morant.
Yeah, but I'd have to, if you reflect back on how many games he missed just on his suspensions.
Yeah. True.
The guy's a head case.
People forget, at least I forgot, that Klay's injuries, like 2 of the worst that you can usually have, more common but worst in the NBA, back-to-back. ACL, Achilles. Grant, can you imagine going through the ACL rehab, getting to, because he tore it on draft day, training to come back, and then you get an even longer rehab, and there's no guarantee you're going to come back from that injury, although now it trends like you will. It's crazy.
It is crazy. There is no doubt about it, especially the injuries happening later in his career and to come back. So good job by Klay. 916-779-0929. The Niners get the ball back. A terrible throw by Bryce Young in the end zone is picked off. So the Niners will have the ball at their own 20, leading by the score of 7-0. Again, this is a huge week because Packers, Lions, Chiefs, Cowboys, Bengals, and the Ravens coming up for you, and then the Bears and the Eagles on Friday. So you got 4 games, all right? You've got 4 games coming up this weekend before we even get to Sunday, Rhino. And I was 3-1, you're 1-3. So when we make our picks on Wednesday, I'll let you go first for the Thanksgiving games.
Okay.
And the game on Friday, and then I'll go first for the Sunday, Monday games.
All right, that's fair. What I need to get back to 500. We need to have a week where we're both over 500. Yet to happen.
Well, what's interesting is this will be the first time this year that we are picking the same 4 games because we have to pick the 4 games, or we could just do the 3 games on Thanksgiving and not do the Bears and Eagles. You whatever you think, So
You just don't like saying that word, huh? That city gets you fired up, my man.
Yeah. So we'll see. We have 2 days to think about it, but it will be your opportunity to get you a $100 gift card, okay, from Bennett's Restaurants. From the 916, Grant, I missed most of your show, but I want to ask, what do you think about the rumors of the Clippers interested in DeRozan and possibly getting John Collins? I don't have any idea why the Clippers would want DeMar DeRozan. I mean, that would make no sense to me. That's number one. But number two, I don't really pay attention to rumors because 99% of them don't come true. So I'm not one that really pays attention to rumors. What I do pay attention to are companies that are really, really good at what they do. And one of those companies is DAS Mechanical, HVAC retrofit, service specialist. They also do no systems. And you might say, well, you're just saying that because you're on the radio. No. I'm saying that because I've done research. I've spent time. I've looked at all of their 5-star reviews. I've looked at all of the awards, numerous best of the best awards that DAS Mechanical can boast about because it's true. You go to dasmechanical.org. You can book everything online, whether it's retrofit, whether it's service, new systems. And if you need a new system, remember, there are currently rebates available up to $6,000. And if you need financing, there are a lot of options, including 0% interest for 18 months. One other thing, you still have time to take advantage of this month's $69 special, your winter maintenance checkup. That's dasmechanical.org. D as in dog, A, S as in Sam, mechanical.org. That's dasmechanical.org. Book online, check out their 5-star reviews and their best of the best awards. All right, so I need to ask you, did you watch the F1 race in Vegas?
I did not.
Okay.
I saw clips of it. I saw the people in Vegas. Did you catch this? Where they said if you were trying to look at the race from like certain places, you would get in trouble. People were taking the escalators down and then the escalators up in circles.
I know.
To watch the race. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Hopefully we can get Chris Landry on this week, but Lane Kiffin now has a date and time that he's going to make his decision. It's after the Egg Bowl. Is it pretty much telegraphed to you what's going to happen, Napes?
Yes, and I think it's really sad that you have to make an announcement and you have to have a time and a place for it. It looks like LSU, the rumors are that they've got a deal that's very close to, if not $100 million. How do you turn that down, your Lane Kiffin?
It's pretty hard. It's
right. How do you turn that down? Seriously.
Grant, it's a lot of pressure. I guess I would counter, how do you walk away from your group right now?
I think that Lane Kiffin is a very overrated football coach. And I talked about this last week with Chris Landry. I think he's the flavor of the day, and he's in the right spot at the right time. And for that, I applaud him because you have openings at Florida. You have an opening at LSU. You had an opening at Penn State, right? You're the flavor of the day because your team is one of the top teams in the country. You have prolific offenses. But if you look at his background and his success or lack thereof, I think he's overrated. Would I want him coaching my football team? I wouldn't be against having him coach my football team, but he's not a guy that I would say, okay, I got to have you at LSU and here's $100 million. I wouldn't do that.
I guess it makes sense now because of the transfer portal and recruiting. To a degree, it made sense, but I wish coaches would just wait until the end of the season because turning your back on a group that you
it's awful.
brought to this point that's going to be in the playoff.
Nick Saban made a great point on this on the college game day over the weekend, that there needs to be something in place that prevents coaches from abandoning their players in situations like this. He said there has to be a mechanism in place, because what he said, and you really can't argue with this, it's a really bad look for the sport. It's bad for college football in general. And most importantly, it's really bad for the players.
Yep.
It really is. It's bad. There's no positives to this. It is bad all the way around.
Yep. And just got confirmation. Chris Landry will join us Wednesday at 4 p.m. to
I love it.
talk about this a little bit more. How about this aspect? What if you bet the house on Ole Miss making the playoff, winning the SEC? What now?
Wow. Yeah. It's a very good point. What now? What now? It's really bad. And if you win that game and then come out right after and say you're leaving for LSU, he better have police protection to get out of town.
I know. You're telegraphing it. Because you wouldn't do this. You wouldn't.
No, if you were going to stay, you would say, hey, I'm staying.
Right. Unless
you would say there's no need for a press conference. There's no need to talk about it. I've decided I'm staying here at Ole Miss.
Unless they are trying to pull the whoop-de-doop and really galvanize that fan base. I don't see any other way.
Well, yeah, but he's already made his decision. He already knows what he's going to do. You think he's going to change? I think you make a great point there, but he knows what he's doing right now. It's not like he doesn't know what the decision's going to be.
No, I'm talking about if you were more or less a publicity stunt to really fire up that fan base. Oh man, he's leaving. There's these LSU reports, but he's actually staying. I mean, could something change? Could Ole Miss put together a package, or more importantly, as Chris said, get the NIL package a little bit better? Who knows?
You never really know for sure what the heck is going on behind the scenes, but I'm on record, and I told you that I thought LSU was making a huge mistake when they hired Brian Kelly, and it ended up costing them an absolute fortune. I just do not see Lane Kiffin being a guy that I want to write a check for that's going to end up giving him $100 million. Okay, and I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but I think he's an overrated coach. That's the way I would say it. I think he is an overrated coach. And here's the other thing. They're playing Mississippi State. They're not even ranked. I got to worry about Ole Miss, getting fired up for this game and winning this game. They're on the road. They're not even at home. It's a road game. They're going to win this game. I can't imagine them not winning this game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'll say this about the LSU job. It comes to about as close as it can for a job of being $100 million of pressure as well.
There's no question about it.
That is.
I don't know if there's a more difficult job. Maybe Texas would be in that category. Alabama with their, but yes, I mean LSU, when their history. Yes, I don't disagree with you. I think you're spot on.
I'd be curious to know what the buyout, if that contract is indeed where he's going. I wonder what the buyout is, considering what.
If he goes to LSU, I think he's getting 100%. I think if he goes to LSU, he's got all the leverage now. He's in the driver's seat. If it doesn't work there, I mean, I can't imagine him giving back some of the money on his contract. And you're right, there is buyout language in there. But I just, when I look at the longevity of Lane Kiffin, it just seems to me that Ole Miss is a perfect fit for him.
Yes.
For a variety of reasons that we've discussed with Chris Landry. When you go to a program like LSU, the money's fine and dandy, Rhino, I guess, because I've never been in a position to, make any kind of money like that. But there's also a quality of life and pressure and everything else. And I guess you could say, well, if you're a Division I coach in the SAC, pressure is part of it, regardless of where you are. And I don't disagree with that, but there's just something about LSU. I mean, listen, Ed Orgeron won a national championship, Rhino, with Joe Burrow as his quarterback, went undefeated, won a national championship, and 2 years later was fired. Think about that.
Lane Kiffin, and you've kind of been putting this point out or painting this picture, he can be finicky at times, and Ole Miss deals with it. The fan base is okay with it. Almost like he's on a little bit more of a pedestal there. That pedestal is going to be gone when you go to LSU. You can't have 2 quarterbacks. You need to have 1. Why did you go for it on 4th down? You know?
When I was doing the Raiders preseason games, Lane Kiffin was the coach there for a period of time. And so we would have the production meetings, if you want to call them, where we'd sit around with Lane and talk to him. And I remember him back then being very reserved, very quiet, and you could tell he didn't want to do it. And I understand, it's like preseason, like, really, you got to ask me, it was like that. He wasn't rude, but you could just tell me, let's wrap this up so I can get out of here.
Yeah.
But, when you think about Monty Kiffin, one of the great coaches of his generation for what he did, and you look at Lane, he basically was, Lane's a 4-letter word in Knoxville, okay? No, he is.
He's a
No, I'm
he's
just
a
telling
sewage
you.
plant, according to Chris Landry.
Huh?
He's a sewage plant, according to Chris Landry.
How about that, huh? What a
The SEC is brutal.
Hey, that's really not where you want to be in life, correct?
No. A sewage plant. You almost have to laugh at that point, right?
Oh,
Can I
my
get a
gosh.
tour? No, never
Yeah.
mind. Don't want to go.
Hey, before we wrap up the show, I want to tell you that the Pistons are leading the Pacers now 88-78. 3.5 left to go in the third. Going into the fourth, the Raptors lead the Cavaliers 88-76. The Knicks lead the Nets in Brooklyn 51-48 at the break. Also at halftime, the Heat and the Mavs playing in South Florida. It's 52-44 Miami. The Nuggets are 11 better than the Grizzlies. 5 minutes left to go in the first half. Portland has a lead in Milwaukee with 3:45 left to go in the second quarter. The score there is 55-47. And you have the Pelicans leading the Bulls 59-42. 5 minutes left to go in the half. Brock Purdy has just thrown his second interception of the game. 2 bad throws by Purdy on interceptions. We'll replay hour number 1 coming up next. Don't forget to join us over on YouTube and X right after the Kings game. Jerry Reynolds, Ryan in Sacktown, myself. We look forward to having you on board. And will the beam stay lit? Will the beam be lit tonight for the Kings' second win in a row? All of that coming up. Hope you have a great evening and you're on your way to a super Thanksgiving. For Jim Peterson, thank you very much for joining me, the TV voice, the analyst, I should say, of the Timberwolves. For Rhino in Sacktown, Grant Napear is saying so long. Thanks so much for listening to Fox Sports Sacramento. Bye-bye.